Evening. Welcome to our March 16, 2021 City Council meeting. It is 7:06. Meeting is now in session. Tonight's invocation will be led by Pastor Kelly DePee from Faith Community Church, and Councilman Tabatabai will be leading the Pledge of Allegiance. All rise.
When you're ready, Pastor.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the blessing of living and working in this great city of West Covina. Lord, we ask your blessing to be upon the city council meeting tonight, Lord, that you would guide them, that you would direct them by the power of your Holy Spirit, that you would give them wisdom, Lord, as they make decisions that affect each one of us. Lord, we lift up our community to you at this time, Lord. We pray for those who are sick, that you would bring healing to them. Lord, we pray for those who are grieving because of the loss of a loved one, that you would bring comfort. Father, for our first responders, Lord, our fire and police, God, we pray that you would protect them as they keep us safe and respond to the emergencies and challenges in our community. Thank you, God, for working in our nation. Thank you, Lord, for working in our city. Thank you, God, for this meeting tonight. And once again, we pray your blessing upon each and every council meeting member and upon this meeting tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Assistant City Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Tabatabai.
Present.
Councilman Wu.
Yep.
Councilwoman Diaz.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Castellanos.
Here.
Mayor Lopez Viado.
Present. City Attorney, is there anything to be reported out of closed session?
Nothing, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, on to presentation.
Testing.
So today we have two presentations. The first one, can I bring up Mr. Brian Gutierrez? Is he? This is Mr. Gutierrez graciously donated the printing of 500 West Covina Police Department annual review booklets. We'd like to thank him and his job at Sony Music for his generous donation. For those who wanted a hard copy, annual review brochures will be here at the council meetings for the public to view and take. When City Hall reopens, brochures will be available to the city clerk office in the lobby of the police department and various departments as well as the library. Come on down. Wanted to thank you for these. I know these were very beautifully made. This was the first police report, and I know some of the residents wanted the actual hard copy. Is there anything you'd like to say?
Yes, well, it's an honor to support the men and women of our police department, and I thank you for honoring me tonight and the members of the city council, and I know that this book creates awareness for our community in order to create transparency and make our community more prosperous every day, so thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and so City of West Covina would like to appreciate your generous donation. Come on here, take some. Well, please stay here. We have another presentation. Thank you. But I'd like to also, thank you. Before I present the next certificate, I'd like to also invite Mr. Thomas Hines or Hines? Hines. He's a district leader for CVS Health Corporation. So before I continue with both, these two has a big factor. I wanted to, well, as you know, we were supposed to have a vaccination site at Cameron Park on February 8th, but LA County decided not to execute our MOU agreement, hence that did not occur, but thanks to the hard work of our planning commissioner, Brian Gutierrez, who reached out to CVS and went back and forth with their corporate office, we have been able to confirm not just one vaccination site, but a total of 4 vaccination sites in West Covina. And we understand that not all cities have this at their local CVS, so we are very thankful. And we understand that these vaccinations are federally funded. So, Brian Gutierrez, again, I wanted to thank you so much for emailing and keeping up with the corporate office at CVS and ensuring that we do have vaccination sites here in our city. So here's for Brian. Thank you. And of course, here we have Mr. Thomas, again, the district leader for CVS Health Corporation. We wanted to thank you also for working diligently to secure 4 vaccination sites here in the city of West Covina. We want to thank you and your team for the constant and great communication to Mr. Gutierrez and the city of West Covina in regards to the updates of the CVS vaccination in our city, which are federally funded. We have all sides of the city covered. We have this at the east, north, south, and west side of our city, so that's wonderful news. We want to thank you for your partnership and support in keeping the community safe. So with that, I'd like to present a special plaque for West Covina, from the city of West Covina, for the CVS, for keeping our city and our residents safe and healthy. And we could take a group photo. Yeah, and I'll have them. Before you leave, we'd like a few words from both of you. So on here, we'll start with you, and then we'll end, save the best for last.
Great, thank you. Again, it was CVS's commitment to our community. I know that as the more vaccinations come out to our different cities throughout our community, it was CVS's corporate office who heard our concerns and our dire need to ensure that our seniors and those most vulnerable to the COVID-19 had resources, or opportunity to get vaccinated. And I thank CVS's corporation and their corporate team over there for helping, assisting, and ensuring that more of our local stores in West Covina had access to vaccinations. And I thank CVS Corporation for also having Mr. Hines coming out and representing CVS tonight. So thank you.
Would you like anything to say? Go ahead.
Sure. I just want to thank the city and the community. At CVS, we're here to help people on their path to better health, serve our community locally. As you guys know, we have CVS's on every corner, and we look forward to continuing to do that. And most importantly, our pharmacists, our corporate office, as we continue to roll it out in as many states as we can, up to 49. We're in 49 states, and every community that we can. We continue to see what we can do to help people on their path to better health and to make sure that you guys can get back to normal lives again. So this vaccine is awesome as fast as it rolled out, and we're so proud to be able to deliver it to the people in the communities.
We have one question. Is it possible for CVS to reserve vaccination for seniors who are not able to utilize, they don't have long distance transportation, they utilize our dial-a-ride that has to stay within our city? Is it possible to reserve vaccination for most need, our vulnerable seniors?
Initially, we rolled out, as you guys probably heard in the news, the federal long-term care clinics that we did. That was a federal vaccine, and we were only able to use it for the long-term care, and everybody in every city had an opportunity to sign up for that, and we've been doing that 7 days a week for the last, I don't know how many months. So I couldn't tell you because I'm not the one that organizes the vaccine. I don't work with the federal and state government. So I don't want to commit to anything that I can't, but I want to, if you guys can contact the corporate office.
Your new job, go ahead and contact.
I was actually talking to them about that today, and I told them that city staff will send CVS information on which senior centers, living assistant senior centers who actually need vaccination sites, and CVS Corporation will review that and hopefully help the city. So.
Thank you. Actually, there is one more presentation. Is there anything else you'd like to say? No? Okay.
Thank you.
We do have from the California State Assembly, Assemblywoman Blanca Rubio. She wanted to also have a certificate of recognition. So here is one for Mr. Brian Gutierrez. And here is one to CVS Health Corporation. It's coming off.
Thank you.
Let me do one more photo. Thank you so much again. Greatly appreciate it. Here's Mr. Hines, Thomas, if you want to keep that inside.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So before moving to oral communication, we have an adjournment. I like to say, my neighbor, Ms. Shirley Buchanan, passed away in her home peacefully on March 6, 2021. Though she was very strong at 88, healthy, driving around and doing many wonderful things, she was unfortunately taken by cancer that hit her so fast and unexpectedly. Shirley was a longtime resident, very active and heavily involved in our community. She would come to council meetings willing to share her knowledge gracefully with class. She truly cared about West Covina. She will be very missed by her family and friends. My kids would miss her coming over to celebrate their birthdays, and I would truly miss the neighborly love and care she provided. At the end, she did say that she was ready to go to see her sister and loved ones who previously passed away before her. So she will be missed by all, and tonight's meeting will be adjourned in her honor. So thank you. We will now move to oral communication. If anyone would like to address the council, please fill out a yellow speaker card and submit it to the Assistant City Clerk. Other than that, Assistant City Clerk, how many speakers do we have tonight?
We have 16, Mayor.
16? Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry? Oh, it's 20. If I have 20 or more. So it's 1-6, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
16? Okay. Go ahead.
Our first speaker is Carolyn Arden, followed by Bill Elliott, followed by Peggy Martinez.
Good evening to each one of you. My name is Carolyn Arndt, and I'm wishing to take this opportunity to share parts of the life of Shirley Buchanan. She and her husband, Ed, moved into West Covina in 1956. We moved into our home across the street and around the corner in 1957. So we have had a long friendship. They have 3 children, Sean, Patrick, and Lanai. Shirley retired from working at the La Puente Adult Education Department. Her husband retired from LA Sheriff's Department, where he worked as a detective. Shirley has been actively involved in our city. I have a stinger. That's why it shakes. Well-being for a number of years. We have just learned from her family that she had a 3-drawer metal filing cabinet that had one whole drawer filled with documentation, news clippings, and state-issued letters, plus our city's reports dedicated to the BKK closure 25 years ago and forward. She sought out Mike Miller's expertise as he was most closely connected to working to get that process completed. That concern has continued as she has monitored the future of the landfill, wanting to impose her vision on providing a healthy future for West Covina residents and the residents in our neighboring cities. A second drawer in that filing cabinet has been relegated to storing all of the paperwork connected with the West Covina Baseball Field League of Dreams. It was her contention that if a developer was not willing to build on a plot of land as they did not deem it profitable, a governing entity should not pursue that project. And she kept all of those records indicating that to be true. The third drawer is a mystery. We don't know what that one is. They haven't said. She has been a strong advocate for accountability and transparency in our city's finances. She shared that interest in serving as treasurer of the board of West Covina Improvement Association, and of course was first rate. She used the words that Ed used as a detective: where, what, when, and who, as she was tenacious in her record keeping and knowing all the details. All of those records are going to come to the archives at the West Covina Historical Society. And probably in 25 or 50 years, a Barbara Pronan will step forward and write a book and include all of Shirley's work. What a legacy that will be. Her last effort was to promote Councilman Javits. She was great. She was great. A good friend, loyal, caring about other people, diminutive in size. But one of her sons said she could roar like a lion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill Elliott, followed by Peggy Martinez, followed by Brian Gutierrez.
Good evening, City Council. Somebody asked me today, Bill, why don't you yell at the City Council anymore? Well, just for the record, I never yelled at the City Council. I yelled at a few City Council members before, but I've always supported somebody on the City Council. I've never blanketly condemned the entire council. It's just my opinion anyway. I am partial to this council. I think this is the best council we've had in years. The most qualified, and a lot of criticism coming down, social media, everything, but one of the reasons I don't criticize this city council that much is because I believe in them. I believe in you. And I see good things on the horizon for the city. And I also want to say that I'm a firm believer in equal protection under the law. You know, I actually read in another major city's newspaper this week that it was an op-ed, and it said, look, we all know there's different rules for different people, so let's just get over it. I call BS on that. Equal protection under the law. And last city council meeting, I was sitting over there, and the next thing I knew, a police officer was tapping me on the shoulder, asking me to put my mask back on. So I was a little surprised because I didn't really realize I was not wearing the mask. I inadvertently had taken it off, and it was on the seat next to me. So then I found out that somebody who's really nasty that comes to this meeting a lot, she has a really nice public persona, but she's really nasty. She went to the police over that, and she sicked the West Covina police on me. And the hypocrisy knows no bounds because she was sitting there this far from Jefferson DeRue and opening her mask up and exposing her face every time she talked over her shoulder to him. And Jefferson wasn't wearing a mask either. So why are the police sicked on me, and the person sicking the police on me is not following the same rules of social distancing and wearing a mask? And while I'm at it, you know, I like the city council, and I also, you know, I don't want to go too overboard, but I like the city manager too. He's done a couple of things that I don't like, but all in all, I think he's doing a pretty good job. But his one major misstep that since he's been here is he chose this person to be the moderator of the last candidate forum. She's unethical. She changed the rules in the middle of the forum. She made requirements that she didn't enforce on anybody else other than, the candidate who she was really aiming her slings and arrows at. And I think it's really despicable that she can sick the police on me for not wearing my mask if she's not wearing a mask herself. And then to her character on full display as far as, David Carmody allowing that partisan political group, it's very clearly partisan, allow them to moderate a city council candidate forum. It's not right. It's not appropriate. She's wholly unqualified for that. She is a bitter partisan, and she's going to continue that way. And I hope that next candidate forum, we have somebody much more qualified. They had the moderator. She was anonymous until the night of the forum. She was also unqualified. They said, well, she has a bachelor's degree in political science. I think they could have went for a more stellar moderator, but that's who they came with. That's who they brought to represent them. Just briefly, too, I want to say on the health department changeover, it's getting ugly out there, folks. It's getting ugly. Somebody wanted to beat me up at the protest just now. And, I'll let that I'll just leave that alone. But I'm encouraged I'm looking forward to the presentations tonight. And when I say I like the city council, I am partial to one member of the city council. But I like all of you, actually. I disagree. We have our disagreements, and some of us are politically not so aligned. But I'm thankful you guys are here. Thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you're doing for the city. It's amazing to me how busy my wife is with the city council job. Thank you very much.
Peggy Martinez, followed by Brian Gutierrez, followed by Maria Castaneda.
Good evening, Council. Today I come with a couple of questions that have been pondering in my mind, and hopefully you will answer them. And they are about the health department, because there's just so many things out there. So my first question is, as of July 1st, our contract with LA County Health Department is gone. Is that correct? Is that correct?
You can continue. It's not a debate, so you have...
No, it's a question. It's a question.
This will be addressed during the presentation. So all your questions, usually at the end, I ask our city manager to go ahead and answer these questions. So all these questions, he documents and writes it down.
Okay. So then I guess from what I've heard, that's true, and that we will not only have to pay for our property taxes, but we'll have to pay a fee to the health department if that contract is null and void after July 1st, because they will no longer be under contract with the city of West Covina. Now, this is what I heard, and so it is concerning to me, and so I'm hoping that you guys are going to make this decision before July 1st so that you can change your minds and not go through with this, okay? It's very concerning to me as trying to be fiscally responsible for our city. We don't have the money for this. We honestly do not have the money for this. And I hope you're not going to spend the COVID money for this, because that's not what it's for, okay? And so these are great concerns for us. And this is what we are fighting. And I have taken up a thing to do an initiative to get it on the ballot next year if you guys don't change your mind. So I'm hoping you will change your mind, because otherwise it will end up on the ballot. We will have 6 months to collect signatures, which won't take long, and I think we will have no problem getting them. There are a lot of angry people, and we even have young ones out there now who really don't want this, because it's just ludicrous. Our city is not set up for this type of a thing. So please, I hope that you will not just listen to business owners, okay, but listen to the residents who actually support businesses here in the city of West Covina. We do not want our own health department, period. We don't want it. We don't want to spend the money on it. And you're following Vernon's, which I don't know why you guys are using the city of Vernon to model, because they failed. The state did not approve them. They've raised taxes on their citizens. And they still are, they're just almost as bad off as us. They're like 11th worst and we're 9th worst financially. So it makes no sense to use them as a model, because they shouldn't be. So that's my thing. And as far as, nobody dislikes you as people, okay? But our problem is you don't communicate. You don't communicate with any of us. And that's just sad. So therefore, we no longer trust you. Because if you're not going to communicate to us and tell us what the cost is, what the plan is, all of those things, maybe we would have been more on board with it. If you would have researched it first and put it on a ballot and let us vote. Let us have a say. This is our city. You work for us. People didn't vote for you to rule us. They voted for you to, represent our feelings and what we like, what we want for our city. That's why people voted for you. And if you don't do that, then you're going to get voted out next year. It will happen. Just ask people who got voted out last year, okay, who didn't think it would happen to them. It will happen. We will work hard to vote those out who continue with this, because it's just not a good idea. Thank you for your time.
Brian Gutierrez, followed by Maria Castaneda, followed by Bill Cagle.
Hello, my name is Brian Gutierrez, and I'm a longtime West Covina resident, and I would like to commend the City Council for voting to stop the contract with Los Angeles County Health Department. But most importantly, I encourage the voters of West Covina and the residents of West Covina to please wait until you hear all the facts from city staff. The information you've been told is a lot of that information has been misleading. And I encourage the residents of West Covina to please be patient while city staff presents the facts later tonight on how it will benefit the residents of West Covina, and how money does not come from the general fund. It does not bankrupt our city. So I encourage the residents of West Covina who are here today and who are watching from home to please listen to the facts, because your voices are important. And I encourage you to wait till you hear all the facts from city staff, because there's no such thing that your health is at risk because supposedly the city stopped the contract. That is not true. Your public health is still being protected, and the well-being of your public health continues to be supported through the Los Angeles County Health Department. But the city has taken steps to ensure more accountability in ensuring that the voters and residents of our city have a voice when it comes to a large county organization. And I encourage all voters who are watching at home to please listen to the facts, because only you have the power to make change, because the people you put here have voted in your best interests. And I can say that as a longtime resident, that I am proud to support this move because it ensures accountability. And I thank the City Council of the City of West Covina for putting residents first and ensuring transparency. Later today, the residents will hear firsthand how it benefits them. And I encourage all residents to please listen to the facts and get the information from the city first before making any assumptions that a lot of misinformation has been out there. And so I just encourage all residents once again to get all the information you can from today's meeting and moving forward, that and rest assured that your public health is not in jeopardy in no way, shape, or form. And that if let's just say something goes wrong, it doesn't mean that the city somehow just cancels a contract and we can never go back and your public health's at risk. No, it doesn't work like that. There's safeguards and measures in place to ensure the public health of all people are taken seriously. And I commend the City Council for supporting an accountability measure when it comes to LA County Health and ensuring that our residents have a voice when it comes to an item like this, the people's health. And I encourage, once again, our voters who are watching here tonight and at home to please listen from city staff and the City Council tonight about the most important aspect that's going to benefit you in the years and years to come. So thank you so much.
Maria Castaneda, followed by Bill Cagle, followed by Ryan Serrano.
Hi, good evening. I normally don't come and protest, but this time I am highly concerned about your idea of creating the the health department. I really question whether you have really looked into it, what it will bring to us. I don't see it really being a benefit. One, we do not have the funds to establish something like that. And I do feel that it's a little reckless to come up with something right now when our city is hurting. If we have the funds, we have the ability to create that department, then we should use the funds for our city right now to help our businesses, to help not only the citizens who have lost their jobs, but look at our city. It needs some upgrade. And going through the department, creating our health department, I don't think that's a good idea. I can't support it. I know it's very expensive to create. And why are we going to run a risk for something that we do not guarantee is going to work? I don't feel like our city is big enough to have something like that and to support it. Have you also thought about our students? I work for a small school here in West Covina. Our children are benefited by the way that our health department is working right now. If one of our students needs eyeglasses, we are able to reach over to them, and our children are provided with reading glasses. They need a dentist appointment, they do not have insurance money, they do that for them, as well as vaccinations. The health department visited our campus a few weeks ago, and you know what they said? That we are a role model for what a campus, a school should be. I really wonder if you have looked into that, and not just a self-trophy to say, hey, we have this. There's more to that. You really need to dig deep into it. Here we are hurting with a pandemic. It's been a year. I think we're surviving it. Why have that health department now? If we're going to have something like that, give it some time. Wait some years from now, where we know exactly where we stand. If by then we have the money to really go into this, create it, and really lift up its feet, good for you. But at this point, I do not see it happening. It takes more than just saying we're going to have this. You really need to think about it. We elected you to take care of us, the residents of West Covina, our businesses. And we ask that you really look back at that. You represent every single one of us, regardless of our financial status, regardless of our gender, regardless of how long we have been here. You speak for us. We elected you for that. You're our voice. You need to really take care of us and not look at what your self-best interest is. Our children depend on us. It's not just the Spring Health Department here, and let's see how it goes. It's not that simple. This is not the time. If any, I think it's a reckless idea. That's going to cost, what, $50, $60 million? Do we have that money? I don't think so. Not based on what I've been reading. Close to bankruptcy? You want to help our city? Be realistic about it. Help us now. Don't come up and create something that it's almost like going and buying a Maserati. Hey, we bought this now. How do we pay for the repairs, the upgrades? Oh, let's get rid of it. Well, hey, you still have to pay for it, right? That's what would happen with the health department. If it doesn't get off its feet, we can't work it. Is the city going to take the county going to take us back and say, "Oh yeah, come back, it's okay"? No, they're not. It's going to cost us more money. Not only would we have lost the money to open it up, we would lose the money coming more out of our pockets to be able to go back with the city. We receive the benefits that we need. I don't see why we have to change that. Thank you.
Bill Cagle, followed by Ryan Serrano, followed by Elsie Messman.
Hello, my name is Bill Cagle, a longtime West Covina resident. In fact, longer than I would care to admit. I'm here to oppose the West Covina starting our own health department, and the reason is because the time is not right, in my opinion. It costs a lot of money, and we don't have the money. I noticed one of the council members was shaking his head when the previous speaker stated how much he thought it would cost. Well, I haven't heard how much it costs, so I can't shake my head one way or the other. When I buy a product, and I was in business for many years, and I was in sales for many years, so I know a little bit about buying and selling. So when I buy a product, I ask, how much is it costing, and what are the benefits? I'm waiting to hear what the cost and the benefits of our health department would be. I'm very open to change and to growing and listening. But I have not heard a discussion on the dais as to why we need our own health department. It was just kind of been shoved on us. So after watching and listening different sessions and things like that, I've learned a lot about the services that the LA County Health supplies that I was not even aware of. And I wonder, maybe some of you might even have learned what some of these services are. There are 5 of you on the dais up there, and I'd like to hear from each of you individually. You were all elected individually, and you should all have your own voice individually to express your opinion, not just to be guided by one person. And so, anyway, it looks like we have COVID vaccines here in our great city now, so we're not going to have to worry about that thanks to our commissioner. I just wonder why the council wasn't active in getting our vaccine here instead of a commissioner having to do that. But it's good that we have it, whoever got it. Business is going to be coming back, and COVID's going to be behind us, and we're going to return back to normalcy here soon. And so we really don't need a new health department. I'm not saying we don't ever need one, but right now at this particular time, I just don't feel we need it. If we do, I just want to hear why we need it. I mean, I haven't heard. Just tell me. I'll listen, okay? So thank you.
Ryan Serrano, followed by Elsie Messman, followed by Frederick Sykes.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. My name is Ryan Serrano. I'm here on behalf of Supervisor Hilda Solis to provide a statement. I want to thank the approximately 80 participants, including residents, business owners, city council members, staff, and representatives from other elected offices who attended our virtual town hall this past Thursday. I directed the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health to present this meeting in response to the large number of calls and emails my office received from concerned residents following the West Covina City Council's vote on February 23rd to create its own health department. For those of you who were unable to join, the recording has been posted to my Facebook page. I also want to thank the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health, DPH, for providing a comprehensive presentation on the department's programs and services and answering as many questions as possible from West Covina residents and community members. As many learned during the presentation, DPH offers a myriad of services that go beyond COVID-19 measures to ensure the safety and health of all 10 million residents in the county, including West Covina. One thing that was made abundantly clear is that any new department created by the city to take on this responsibility of the Department of Public Health first requires state approval, which is not guaranteed. I would also like to further emphasize that until the state recognizes any such department, the county's Department of Public Health will continue to serve the residents of West Covina. While the presentation was very informative, it is clear that many more questions remain. It is my hope that the city listens to its residents and chooses to engage in a robust community outreach and engagement process that is transparent so that it can answer the many questions that remain from residents before continuing with this huge undertaking. I would like to further share that West Covina City Council's 4-1 vote did not hinder my efforts of bringing service to residents. In fact, the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs was able to meet my request to bring vaccines to the city's veteran community in partnership with American Legion Post 790. Hashtag Team Solis was on hand these past 2 Saturdays to assist as needed and distribute much needed PPE. I would also like to underscore that there are a number of several trusted community sites in West Covina offering the vaccine and have been for several weeks, including East Valley Community Health Center, Caremore West Covina, Rite Aid, and recent additions from CVS. I would be remiss if I did not also mention that LA County has moved to the red tier. As of yesterday, restaurants can ease into opening indoors, movie theaters can turn on the lights, museums can welcome patrons again, children can return to recess with their classmates, and those things we miss deeply, those connections that define us, can begin to return. I remain committed to meeting the public health needs of our West Covina residents and will continue to be responsive to the needs of your community. We are here for you. I encourage residents, business owners, city staff, and council included to contact my East San Gabriel Valley field office at 909-593-3661 or email firstdistrict@bos.lacounty.gov. Should you have any questions or concerns? Thank you. I yield the rest of my time.
Elsie Messman, followed by Frederick Sykes, followed by Dana Sykes.
Good evening, everyone here tonight and at home. My name is Elsie Messman, a resident of West Covina. First of all, I would like to speak about Shirley Buchanan for all she has done for this city. No matter what the situation was, she was always a volunteer, either to collect signatures, walking precincts, or just plain helping. She will be dearly missed. Now, why is item number 4 regarding the local health department on the consent calendar? Apparently, staff and management don't want to talk about it. They just want to ram it down our throats like they've done everything else. Will we be paying twice, once on our tax bill and then through the city, or is someone, so someone can be a big hero? Why would anybody in the city want to join West Covina? We have a rating of 9th worst out of 444 cities. We were 17 not long ago. So don't blame the past council, as I see 3 people sitting right in front of me that should be taking the blame, plus the city manager. You can't handle what you have now. And I find it very interesting that the city manager was discussing staffing and administration with Transtech Engineering Services. We no longer have an engineering department, and it has been done by contractors. One is Transtech to save money. Well, I went through the warrants list, and I found that we have paid over $959,000 from September 2019 to October 2020. And we also paid Wildham Engineering over $1 million, plus Nicholson Consulting Engineer, Pyramid Building Engineer, Gross Engineering. for another $518,000, almost $2 million. Is that cheaper, or has any of you even looked into it? Was this the amount on the budget, or was it approved by council? Just wondering why the city manager picked an engineering company instead of a medical company. Remember, the health issue, if approved, will have to be paid long before we are all gone. Is it the right thing to do? I would say no. There's a lot more to this than selling a house. Don't wreck 110,000 people's lives, as this council hasn't proven that it can handle what it has now. Thank you.
Frederick Sykes, followed by Dana Sykes, followed by Colleen Rosati.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council, city staff, members of the audience. I am Frederick Sykes, retired LA County Deputy Sheriff, 42-year resident, and former mayor of this city. First, I want to say thank you for remembering Shirley Buchanan, great resident, great contributor to our community. And I also want to ask you to please perform proper due diligence on the vicarious liability rule and when persons are elected under an alias. So if you don't know what vicarious liability is, I suggest all 5 of you take a look and find out what it is. When the residents are not the center and the first priority of our government activities, then our decision makers have become corrupt. California Proposition 2018 makes it illegal to tax residents without their permission via our vote. However, our elected officials keep finding ways around that law. About 20 years ago, went around the law to create a special retirement program where our employees retired 50 years old, and some of them, probably most of them, with 90% of their salary for the rest of their lives. And as a result of that, in July 2020, to avoid bankruptcy, we had to pawn our city streets to try to get $204 million to try to keep City Hall open. So with that debt, the residents are stuck and have to pay that up until 2045. That's the plan at the moment. West Covina is mostly a residential working class community with the average income of around $75,000 a year. Most of us work 5 days a week, sometimes overtime on Saturdays. I even have an immigrant neighbor who works 7 days a week just trying to make ends meet. But West Covina City Hall is only open 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. Why? To save cost. And now there's this new tax in the form of establishing a West Covina Health Department, very similar to the previous West Covina City Council, without research and planning, without money being set aside, no way to explain to us the cost to establish this health department, the cost to maintain it, and what is the benefit? Not much for the residents who have to pay that bill. This health department has the potential to have residents owing, instead of approximately $270 million that we have about now, it has the potential to go to $600 million that we as residents would have to pay. You're doing this without our permission, and we're stuck because we live here. We ask you to please continue with the LA County Public Health, which doesn't charge us an arm and a leg for our public health. And this is also a conservative approach to our governance. It puts the residents and their interests first. Please think about how we no longer have a 5-man team that goes through the city every day for code enforcement. Code enforcement is also a part of protecting the residents, the aesthetics of the city. We need those departments. We need to get our priorities straight. How many police and fire officers do we still need to adequately serve and protect the residents, our schools, and our public spaces? So it is clear by how we are underserved that we cannot afford this expensive adventure that you're about to go on. So please reconsider, put the people first. Thank you.
Dana Sykes, followed by Colleen Rosati, followed by Jim Grivich.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Castellanos, Councilman Wu, Councilman Tabatabai, and Councilman Elliott. I'm here tonight because both me and my husband tried to contact the mayor, but received no response. I'm concerned about the vicarious liability of the city. While I commend the outreach of Brian Gutierrez concerning CVS, I do have questions. Did you know he was contacting CVS? Was he representing himself as a concerned citizen or as an arm of our government? My questions have validity and is why I'm concerned about the city's liability. I was on a board when Brian applied to join. I had worked previously with him and didn't feel he would be a good fit, so I voted to not admit him. Another board member voted to be his mentor, vowed to be his mentor, so I relented and voted to add him to the board. For the first few months, he was helpful. He brought in a couple donations for our fundraiser and seemed to be a working member of the board. Then on the day of a board meeting, I was called by our executive assistant and asked to come in early. When I arrived, we were given a solicitation letter. By the way, this was for the executive board members of the foundation. When I arrived, I was given a solicitation letter penned by Brian on the entity that we raised money for letterhead, not the foundation letterhead. He was asking for money for an entity we didn't fund, and signed the letter, Brian Gutierrez, board member. He used our donor list to send that letter out. The CEO of the entity had been receiving calls about the letter from our donors who were confused and were wondering if it was a scam. The letter had numerous spelling as well as grammatical mistakes. Nobody knew of the solicitation letter but Brian. If you've ever been on a board, you do not do anything without approval of the board. The night of the meeting, the board member who was mentoring Brian tried for hours to get him to admit that what he did was wrong and that he wouldn't do it again. He would not admit to being in error, nor would he vow not to do it again. You know, our normal board meetings lasted maybe 2 hours. I was there from 7 p.m., actually 6 p.m. because I had to come in early, till over midnight, trying to get him to admit that he was wrong. We finally removed him from the board. I bring this up because Brian has special needs. He's on the autistic spectrum. He doesn't understand the norms and the practices, and we're putting our city in liability
if we're not controlling his actions. It worked out well for you this time. It might not next time. And you really need, if you like more details, I can give you names. But you are putting the city in liability. And like we have money to blow. And while I have time, the idea of a health department is a capital S, capital T, capital U, capital P, capital I, capital D. Dumb, stupid, not fiscally responsible because we have no money. But I guess you guys are not content at being number 9. You want to be number 1 at the worst city in California. Thank you.
Colleen Rosati, followed by Jim Grivich, followed by Mike Greenspan.
Good evening, everyone. Colleen Rosati, elected city treasurer, member of Audit and Finance Committee, president of West Covina Beautiful, along with educator at West Covina High School, special education. Thank you, Mayor Lopez, for adjourning this meeting on behalf of Shirley Buchanan. She was a friend of mine for 45 years. Her daughter and I started in banking when we were 20. She was my voice of reason many times, my confidant. She also sat on the e-board of West Covina Beautiful. And I was shocked by the news. I had no idea that she was that ill. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. And West Covina Beautiful will be planting a tree in her honor when we're able to do so. So thank you. I appreciate it. I have a really quick, my dear friend John Hughes says there's 2 people. There's ones that are Irish and there's ones that want to be. Tomorrow's St. Patty's Day, so happy St. Patty's Day. Make sure you have a green beer or at least some corned beef and cabbage. I have some good news. I have a few thank yous. As you may remember, last council meeting, I brought before you a few concerns and questions from members of the community. City Manager Dave Carmody addressed them regarding the current budget and that there would be a community town hall meeting held for folks to participate, and it would be after 4 o'clock. So thanks, Dave, for responding to that. Audit and Finance, there was a question. Excuse me. Councilman Wu, you responded to that. And the residents that applied appreciate it. Thank you. However, the applicants that approached me with the question did not feel that they got their answer completely answered as to why it took 6 months. So if either the city manager or council can address that and give them closure, that would be much appreciated. Thank you. There are residents who reached out to me regarding the traffic, high-speed racing on not only Lark Ellen, where I live, but on Cameron. And I reached out to the chief last time I was here with the concerns of the resident. He put up a speed meter on Cameron between Azusa and Hollenbeck, or Azusa and Citrus maybe. Anyway, I just want to thank West Covina PD for doing that. Residents followed up with me and said they have seen a decrease in the speeds. So, got a lot to talk about. Monthly investment report. This month you may have noticed a difference in the format regarding the monthly investment report. For those of you that are new to the council, you may be unaware of the duties of the elected city treasurer. So I thought I would share with you Ordinance 2298, Section 2171, dated October 4th, 2016, which states the duty and power of this position. Therefore, the duties of this office of the city treasurer shall be as followed: to review and present monthly investment reports, to participate in investment strategy discussion, to participate in the development of investment policy, to serve as a member of the Audit and Finance Committee, and to perform other duties at the discretion of the City Council. Any duties or responsibilities not specified to the City Treasurer are the responsibility of the Chief Finance Officer. I would like to add that Section 2172 of the ordinance, there was a stipend of $150 approved by the council at that time. The city ordinance 2442, section 2172, states the elected city treasurer would receive no benefits, and that was done in 2018. So there was a miscommunication, misunderstanding that this position is paid. It is not. I didn't run, obviously, for the $150. I did it because I wanted to make people aware of what the city's finances were, and I intend to continue to do that while I'm elected. So the reason for me bringing this forward is to, I'm going to run out of time, is there's a change in the format on how you're seeing the investment report. And that is at the discretion of the city manager. I want you to know my name is on there. If you do not see it signed, then that means I have not reviewed it. So I continue to review it. I spend a lot of time scrutinizing it, and I will be bringing forward financial information, whether it's on the agenda or not on the agenda. Lastly, I'm going to reiterate what a few of the people have said about the health department. As an educator in special ed, a lot of our students depend upon those services. There's a lot of concerns by the parents that they will not be able to receive them. I don't think this is fiscally responsible for us to do it at this time. I don't understand why we're doing it at this time. There's so many other things that we need to address our funds to. Public safety as an example, streets, infrastructure, and day-to-day services for the community. Anyway, I'll be back with more financial information. Thank you for your...
Jim Grivich, followed by Mike Greenspan, followed by R. Robinson.
I'm here tonight simply to pay tribute to Shirley Buchanan at the time of her passing. For the two new council members, a community group called West Covina Neighbors was active in opposition to Measure WC recently, and Shirley Buchanan was a key member of that group. She felt the tax was wrong, and what was amazing about her participation in the project was, as already been pointed out, she was elderly, in her upper 80s and frail, yet she was an absolute trooper. She walked 2 precincts. That's a lot of walking, folks, if you've never done it. And she put door hangers on doors. She talked to lots of people. And due to her key support and others like her, the measure was defeated 80%, 20%. And I feel her contributions included participation in our little group meetings that we had every couple of weeks during this process. She was kind of what I'd call a voice of wisdom. She had basically doesn't make sense to do what we're doing, and she was very helpful in guiding the project forward in terms of what we should do in our activities. And it's really sad to hear of her passing. Thank you.
Mike Greenspan, followed by R. Robinson, followed by Therese Garcia.
Mike Greenspan, a Bruin butt-kicking Florida Gator. And if any of you folks from this Cupcake Conference can't stand that bell, you sure don't want to play in Starkville, Mississippi. The stadium will be full of them. Anyway, I wanted to, first of all, we're sorry about Shirley Buchanan's passing. Hopefully the people know that she's in a better place, especially the clergy. She's in a better place. She won't get sick anymore or have any aches and pains. Now, I want to thank the people, 2 million of them in California, for signing a petition so we can get a new governor. Now, it's the beginning of a process. And unlike Trump's 2 impeachments that failed, we only need a simple majority. We don't need 2/3 of a majority. And the people will vote on it. And we can get a new governor, and we can open up things. Now, the last time we recalled, this is not our first recall, there was a guy named Gray Davis, and he's out there crying and everything else on the media now. He's kind of a media star, but obviously something's going right because Gavin Newsom was on MSNBC trying to save his job. And Nancy, they're getting rid of me. What am I going to do? After all, if you can't get rid of Nancy Pelosi, get rid of her pesky nephew. He's a pain in the ass. He's not contributing to the state. He's draining the state, chasing people out of the state. Hey, Texas is doing well and Florida's doing well. in places like Georgia are doing well, getting our most productive people in their states because Governor Gavin Newsom's chasing them out. Boy, we are a business hostile state. And after all, when you have a business hostile state, the people that are productive, they leave. Now, I know that there's a controversy about a health department. And I'm a big person on voting, just like we get to vote whether we have a new governor or not. Well, maybe you should refer, it's called a referendum, the City Department of Health to the people. I hope that person that wants to petition to get it on the ballot succeeds so the people have a chance to vote up or down on it. If they vote for it, hey, you guys are right. If they vote against it, go back to the drawing board. I realize that the county is not the best thing. When you have a county chair like that broad Hilda Solis or people like that bimbo Janice Hahn, I get it. You probably can make some good points. Just point at the bimbos and broads that are on the Board of Supervisors ruining the county. After all, we talk about opening up things. Well, when will that broad Hilda Solis open up the county Board of Supervisors so we can go to the meeting instead of having to go Zoom on everything? Now, we want things that are tangible. Well, folks, I'll tell you what, as far as a vaccination, I'll get a virtual vaccination instead of a real one. After all, this is an invented disease because somebody has to pay off broads like Janice and Hilda or Nuri Martinez in L.A. or Monica Rodriguez to go cheerlead for abortion. The doctors have to pay them off, so they have to invent a disease to have the cash to pay them. Now, I do want to thank all. When you have your prayers, excuse me for reaching. Yes, after all, I want to thank you for always remembering Jesus. We're coming upon Passover, and happy Passover, you scab rabbis. Jesus celebrated Passover. He never went on an Easter egg hunt, ever. He never ate a slice of ham where they eat ham and yams for Jesus. That's funny. He never did. In fact, for the lady who had the Bible, let me read a couple Bible verses for her from my King James Bible. 1 Corinthians 5. Your glorying is, 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 6. Your glorying is not good. Know ye not that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump? Purge out, therefore, the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump, as ye are unleavened. For even Christ, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. Why celebrate Easter for Jesus? He never did. And as you read about the Apostle Paul, they came back to Jerusalem to celebrate Passover. Man, we have some real dumb Christian goyim in this world.
R. Robinson, followed by Therese Garcia, followed by Herman.
Good evening, Council. Bill Robinson, residents. Bankrupt cities don't found health departments using unplanned, unfunded, knee-jerk foolishness. How much is this effort going to cost in staff time? The staff could be doing other things. When I go to the bathroom, there's a reason. What is the reason we're going to do this health department gambit? I'd like to hear 5 answers to that question. The reason. I'm on record as disfavoring any county services, whatever. For example, the recent move by council to county animal control services. We most likely will be paying more for the next 5 years and getting less by moving away from Pomona Inland Valley animal control. At least the county health boondoggle is fully funded and already paid for by county taxpayers. Supervisor Hilda Solis recently provided an electronic town hall meeting. It included long speeches, but time was provided to answer only about 10% of numerous questions submitted by West Covina residents. County experts got tired quick after their long speeches and still haven't answered on the record questions that were typed into that box. There's state questions that needed to be answered here. There are county. I asked about the county timeline for the issued regulations. They haven't responded to these county questions, and the city needs to be answering questions. It's been said many times we have no revenue problem in West Covina. We have a spending problem, and tonight is the latest example. Council expects us to raise our sales and utility taxes to pay for duplicate services like city health officials and a new health department. My guess is that you will be explaining recent foolish actions to a municipal bankruptcy judge sometime in 2023 because we only have about 2 years left of fiscal fiscal viability. Given a choice, I'd rather support the existing county-funded boondoggle, health department boondoggle, rather than transfer to an unfunded, unplanned, unwise, city-sponsored health department. I'll just yield back my 2 minutes. Thank you.
Therese Garcia, followed by Herman, followed by Sarah Love.
Good evening. My name is Therese Garcia. I'm speaking tonight as a resident of West Covina. The agenda for tonight says that Dr. Vicentachart and staff are working on developing a framework for West Covina's health department. This is a quote. Staff is creating a roadmap of realistic and pragmatic implementation steps. The residents would love to hear what this framework looks like. We would love to hear what the plan is. Please share this with us. It makes us uncomfortable that we haven't heard a plan yet, just some hypotheticals. Perhaps, as Mr. Gutierrez alluded to, we will be hearing about this staff's plans this evening. So we are waiting and listening for specific facts, for a specific plan, for the specific financials. What are the most recent updates on this framework? And will this be published online and made available and transparent for residents? The agenda says also one of the first steps the city needs to take is to create a public health director position within the city. So I have a specific question, actually. Is that statutorily prescribed as the first step? Because I understand there is not much of a blueprint, as there are only a few California cities that have their own health department, and most of those were created decades ago. So who says that this is one of the first steps? That's actually a real question. Anyway, my concern is that if this isn't statutorily prescribed, then is it a good idea to prioritize getting a new public health director on payroll, which means also a long-term pension obligation as well, before we actually have a health department? What will the director direct? Is the intent for the position of public health director to actually work on developing that framework and that infrastructure? And should that be their role? Because that's not typically what local health directors do, actually build the infrastructure from scratch. So is that the intent here? Because otherwise, we're getting somebody on payroll, carving out a position, getting somebody on payroll, creating that pension obligation, and the director doesn't have a department to direct yet. So those are some questions. The residents were waiting and we're listening. We'd love to hear that plan. So thank you.
Herman, followed by Sarah Love, followed by JD.
Good evening, Council. As most of you are aware, we have a surge occurring at the border, where illegal children are coming into our country when we don't have adequate housing for our own children and our veterans. Why is that? Why is the population of Americans suffering? Why the criminals in our local government continue to corrupt, steal your monies, and increase your taxes and the cost of living while we, the American people, suffer, Tony Wu? When you and Mr. Malcolm X Johnson went to China without explaining why the fuck you were there. Don't interrupt me, idiot. It is a definition of law. Read the definition of idiot, because SpongeBob is right, children. Idiot, idiot, idiot. Squiggly pants. Because SquarePants today has the floor. And I will continue to talk about the American people's struggle regarding African American suppression, African American minorities, and we, the people minorities, suffering at the evil hands of corruption. Criminal allegations against your local government, like Jose Luis Huizar, for the record. Like, the little Juju boy who just recently is going to serve time in Lone Park. I've been there, but never in detention, because I got my political correction in the matter of a fact, because I'm not jacked. So let me go on and explain this in other words. Can you hear the radio? Can you hear the radio? As we play Mama Mayor, can you hear me? As I struggle to get off the streets of West Covina and move into the luxury $3,000 apartments. Who will bail me out? Not you or you. But I know what it feels like to be black in America because the color of my skin. Can you hear me on the streets? Can you hear me on the corner? Praying for my brothers who don't know Mama Mayor Gaga. Let me hear it from the crowd. Mama Mayor Gaga. Mama Mayor Gaga. Here I am protesting in my house, in my arena, for the people of West Covina who need a job and who want the children to migrate into the public schools for a free education, Miss Diaz, as you sleep on your phone and text your boyfriend while your man videotapes me. Mama Mia. Mama Mia, look at the homeless living on our streets in West Covina because that bitch from L.A., Eric Garcetti, caused me to be homeless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah Love, followed by J.D., followed by Yusuf Arifin.
Hard act to follow. I can't sing like that. Greetings, Mayor and Council. I'm Sarah Love. I've lived here for 17 years on my house. I don't trust anyone in government. I'm not a member of any party. I'm a pirate. I think most people know that after today. I especially don't trust California public employee unions. Sorry, guys. Please don't terrorize me. But that's just my feeling. As far as the LA County Department of Health goes, we all know they've been tyrannical. They have persecuted businesses. I wish West Covina could have organized against them during the tyranny. They've done some horrible things, especially to one of my favorite businesses in South Pasadena, and Covina. I'm not sure what to think about the new health department plan. I want to see it. It sounds great. But the state of California is full of charlatans and pretty much controlled. So will they stop us? Can we afford it? I have no idea. I do know my VP from the East Coast called me and said, West Covina was in the New York Times. So, yeah. So what I need to know what the financial impact will be to us. Hey, maybe we should vote on it. I don't know. I want to see it because I know I'm really upset with LA County Health Department. So, and also, you guys, with this many people at a meeting, you got to open the bathrooms. Like, come on. Come on. All right? And I hope the people up there don't chase me out of here with pitchforks. That's it.
J.D., followed by Yusuf Arifin.
The bathrooms are open. Oh, that bathrooms are open. Yes. So you can use the restrooms. Maybe they were using it.
Good evening. You've heard said the best man for a job is a woman. Well, that certainly was Shirley Buchanan. She was, I didn't know her for long, but she left quite of an impression on me. Not here to speak about the health department. I think so much has been said about it. I'm not sure how you guys can sit up there and not respond to it, but we'll leave that for another day. I do want to harken back to December. I think that was the last session for as Mr. Wu as mayor. I may be mistaken, but I believe there was a presentation on street paving that night. And you raised a concern. Very logical, very insightful questions from you. I was quite impressed. You asked, well, if this methodology that you're using to surface and take care of all the high-graded streets, the streets that don't need to be serviced, then what happens to streets like the ones that are in my neighborhood that are full of potholes? And you were going down that trajectory of logic, but Mr. Wu jumped in and said, cost-effective. It's cost-effective. And that was the end of it. That was the end of your questioning with regards to why are you going to resurface from Azusa, Cameron, from Azusa all the way up to Grand, which doesn't get traveled anywhere as much as east or west of Azusa, and they resurfaced that entire street. But your street over there in your district, I think you refer to it as your city, if I'm not mistaken. But over in your district, you admitted that it's a mess. And I can assure you, in front of my house has 3 potholes. The intersection of Cameron and Lark Allen, right before and after the dip, that every car that goes over that at 100 miles an hour, which our treasurer was referring to, comes down and probably digs it deeper, it's been overlooked year after year after year. And this methodology of we're going to resurface the streets that least need it because the most damaged ones have structural damages. Those lines, as the presenter said, are structural damages. Then maybe we should be suing the last contractor, last person that did the paving. It's probably the same one. The thing is that they left those same streets last time around, and the reason he said they were going to leave them is because of the structural damages. And the beauty of it, he said, we'll just have to wait to see if, when we're done, there's funding so we can go back and take care of them. You recall that, Mayor? Yeah. With that logic, everybody on this side of the railroad track, my side, is never going to see their streets resurfaced. Everybody over on Wu's side, Dario's side, they're good. You know what? No, don't shake your head, Mr. Wu. You know what? Hey, I'm talking. You know that speedometer that the treasurer referred to? Because of the speeding that takes place on Cameron and Lark Allen and all in that vicinity? That was put over on the east side of Azusa, where they did that great paving job. You know those neon stoplights? They're on the east side of Azusa, over there on Citrus. Now, I'm not here to badmouth those people that live over there. You know what? Bless them. God bless them. They got it. But I'm not going to sit around while I have a representative who doesn't open her mouth and represent her district and not say anything. Because we are being inundated with car racing day and night, and you guys keep inundating our areas with your little pet projects. Never see you bring them down here to City Hall. So, you know, I called the police department this weekend. I sat with my wife and my kid out on the porch, and all we saw was one car after the other, and the radios blasting with words that would make that man over there seem like a churchgoer. Mayor, you need to, better yet, Ms. Rosario, you need to speak up for the district that you represent.
Thank you.
Forget Wu. He's not your
we got
friend.
This. Thank you.
Yusuf Arifin.
Order there, please. Thank you. Sergeant of Arms, please stop. Sergeant of Arms. That's enough. Gentlemen, that is enough. Let's please proceed. Thank you. Go ahead. Thank you.
Hello, Madam Mayor, City Council Member, City Staff. My name is Yusuf Arifin. Don't worry, I'm not going to speak about the Public Health Department, but I do share the same concerns with other residents. I'm speaking today about Agenda Item 9. Sorry, do you mind? I ask that we stop negotiations and any execution of the agreement with Flock Safety to install an ALPR system in West Covina. There's very little evidence that systems like these actually reduce crime. Why install such a thing when it does nothing to reduce crime?
Mayor, point of order. I can't hear.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want me to? Is that better?
Please,
okay, I'm sorry about that. There is very little evidence that systems like these actually reduce crime. Why install such a thing when it does nothing to reduce crime? ALPRs create more problems than they inherently solve. For one, it can cause suspicion onto future persons that drive through a neighborhood. People drive through West Covina all the time. Most live here, some don't. Should we believe that anyone who doesn't are automatically suspected of criminal behavior? If you drive a car, you're likely being tracked by ALPRs, at least sometimes. But that doesn't mean your neighborhood should contribute to the great surveillance state we all live in. Everyone ought to have a right to pass their community without being tracked and without accidentally revealing personal details about how they spend their day. Automatic license plate readers installed in neighborhoods are a step in the wrong direction and an invasion of privacy. From the ACLU, quote, enormous databases of innocent motorists' location information are growing rapidly. This information is often retained for years or even indefinitely with few or no restrictions to protect privacy rights. So I'm asking you, please, I know this is off the consent calendar already, so I hope there's a spirited discussion about invasions of privacy and whether or not ALPRs make our community safer. I really think that they don't, and if you choose to go forward, you may contribute to a larger problem altogether in the future. Thank you very much.
That is our last speaker, Mayor.
Thank you. What an evening. The city manager, can you please respond to the questions? And I too would like to know, especially in this follow-up with the street pavings in reference to our streets or the needed streets as well. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and thank you to all the speakers for coming tonight. I'd like to try to briefly respond as I may to the 19 speakers that spoke, 7 of whom said very nice things about Shirley Buchanan. The council will be adjourning in her honor tonight, and we'll leave her with those thoughts in our hearts and on our minds. Mr. Elliott talked about equal protection under the law, which is a first principle that we all agree with. 8 speakers tonight raised questions about the health department. As I understand it, that item on your agenda tonight will be pulled from the consent calendar, and we'll have a report that will hopefully answer most, if not all, of those questions. Thank the speaker from Hilda Solis's district office for being here. One of the speakers asked about vicarious liability, which is a legal concept with which I am familiar. And we do try to conduct ourselves under our city's risk management program with due regard to avoiding and transferring risk whenever possible. If I could seize the moment to say, today I looked at the city's annual cost indication report. We've now been 1 year in with the California Joint Powers Insurance Authority. Our commitment to this risk management program is really working. And I think we won't have really good data until we're in program for maybe 3, 4, or certainly 5 years. But I think all of these things on our to-do list are really paying big dividends for the city in the risk management category. I skipped over Mr. Sykes, and I apologize. I did speak with him over the weekend about a couple of these issues. Regarding Shirley Buchanan especially, changing subjects, we are aware of the requirements of Prop 218 and follow that state law very carefully whenever taxes are considered or proposed. Regarding the pension obligation bonds, the city kept the term, kept the tenor the same, and did an interest rate refinance, which saved the city net present value savings some $52 million. So I think it was a good transaction. Regarding code enforcement, we're fielding now with part-time workforce and a single code enforcement manager far more than a 5-man team. We've got 7 part-timers and are able to fill out the schedule 7 days a week. It's a program that's a real bright spot and seems to be working very well for us. The city treasurer asked about the investment report. I would like to explain, I think the council's aware, but I'd like to explain publicly what's happening here. One of our audit findings this year that actually was a pertinent comment from our management letter was that the city needs to more timely provide these monthly transaction reports to the city council. And we need to correct those audit findings so that we don't get them again next year. And this change that I've made to the distribution of those reports is intended to speed that up and get it to the elected officials more directly and more timely. So you're now getting those as part of your weekly packets. That's the rationale behind that change. And regarding the stipend, I'd like to affirm publicly that the city treasurer is indeed a volunteer for the city, and her work is appreciated. Border issues, immigration issues. The questions about from JD about the pavement management program, I'd like to try and speak to that just briefly. We have a comprehensive and citywide pavement management program that applies scarce resources, gas tax money measure, R money measure, M money, to our street system based on a priority system. The goal would be we'd want to have the city streets at a number 70. So if out of a scale of 1 to 100, we want all of our streets to get us to a 70. I think in the last look we were at a 67 or 68, which is actually very good compared to some larger cities, Long Beach or Huntington Beach, some much bigger cities. We're doing quite well. The time to weigh in and suggest which streets would come to the highest on the list through the capital improvement program will be the next time the CIP is in front of the council at budget time. So that would be really the moment for those suggestions. And I'll look into the concerns about potholes. It's been raining this week, which always turns into pothole season for us. And also we will be talking to the chief of police about the speeding and the car racing questions. Yusuf asked about the automatic license plate readers and the privacy issues that implementation might create. And I'll ask the chief of police and the captain when he makes his report tonight to speak to that as he can. And I think that's all I've got this evening. Thank you.
And in reference to your question about our planning commissioner in regards to the vaccination, I just wanted to let you know the city did proactively try to get a vaccination site within our city, and we were supposed to have it on February 8th. We had a MOU agreement with County of LA, but then they decided not to do the vaccination. They only did the testing center. I know we also requested a mobile vaccination, so we're consistently asking. And I also am aware that Mayor Pro Tem Castellano has been also reaching out, I believe, with Fulgent or something. So we're trying our best behind the scenes on this case. Planning Commissioner Gutierrez reached out to CVS and was able to make that happen. But city has been pushing for the vaccination. Thank you. City Manager, did you have something to say?
Okay, I want to say one thing is this, okay. And I know we all have agree and disagreed, okay, for other issue. It's all quite all right. But I think this is uncalled for to call for somebody, their disability or their issue regarding autism or this and that. It doesn't mean he's not going to be functional as a normal person. Well, for me to deal with this couple of weeks or I think 2 months knowing him, try to help bring the vaccination from CVS to us, okay, and he was fighting very hard, okay, and I can tell he has a passion to help our resident and to talk about his personal medical situation. I think it's uncalled for. I just want people to know, okay, everybody have some disability, but it doesn't mean they cannot serve the city. Okay, serve with action, serve with passion, serve with love. So I hope people don't misunderstand. Brian Gutierrez is a nice person. I deal with him for this couple of months. I find out he's really love the city and really want to bring good stuff and any resource to us. I hope, okay, any other resident, they want to bring any resource, we welcome. Everybody help, okay, not only the city council, everybody should pitch in to help our city, to help our resident, to help our senior, and to help our children. I think this is what we're here for. So anyway, I want to say he's a very normal person. He tried his best to help the city. Thank you so much.
All right, on to the city manager's report, which will be given by.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a brief report this evening, just a few slides I wanted to share. I think the people here who are frequently in attendance at these meetings and the council certainly aware that in December of last year, the state auditor issued a report with some criticisms, some suggestions about the city's financial condition and required first a corrective action plan and financial recovery plan. The financial recovery plan follows step for step each of those findings of the state audit and has some measurable timelines and milestones within which the city will be addressing the findings of the state audit. That report is now complete in draft form, and some of the members of the Finance and Audit Committee have been gracious of their time to assist with a couple edits of that. The draft report will be presented to the Finance and Audit Committee at their meeting on the 24th of March. We wanted to highlight a new business, Raros. I'm probably mispronouncing it. The name is a derivation of the family's last name. It was approved by the Planning Commission many, many months ago, so long ago that the approvals lapsed and they had to get it approved again. But they're now open for business. We welcome them to the community, and initial reviews, I haven't been there, but I've heard good things about their food, so I'm very happy they're in business. We previously talked about vaccination sites, and we're appreciative of the commissioner's efforts and thanked CVS publicly when they were here. But I just wanted to notice that there's 4 CVS locations by appointment only. We're now distributing to those that are 65 and above. Quickly, it'll move to the next tier down. We want people to continue to sign up at every opportunity through the CVS website. Next slide. Good news, the county has moved into a red tier, which is better than a purple tier. What that means in terms of the businesses is personal care, fitness facilities, indoor malls, restaurants, movie theaters, and museums can now open at different capacities. It'll be welcome news to our businesses who have been really waiting for this moment. We're very, very pleased about that. And the blank screens means I have nothing else this evening. Thank you.
All right. Moving on to consent calendar. Besides consent item number 4 that will be automatically pulled, is there any other consent? Would you like to?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I'd like to pull number 2.
2? Anyone else?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to pull 5 and 6.
So we do have 2, 4, 5, 6. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar items 1 through 8 with the exception of 2, 4, 5, 6? A motion?
So move.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call.
Councilmember Tabatabai?
Aye.
Councilman Wu?
Aye.
Councilwoman Diaz?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Castellanos?
Aye.
Mayor Lopez Viado?
Aye. Motion approves.
Point of order, may I please confirm who was the second?
I'm sorry?
Thank you.
Councilman Tabatabai. That okay? Motion approves. We're good to go to the next. All right. So item number 2, pulled by Councilman Tabatabai. Go ahead and proceed.
Good evening, City Manager. First off, this emergency ordinance, why did we decide to put on the consent calendar?
Through the chair, this is a routine continuation of a city disaster declaration. Due to the COVID pandemic, we've been in disaster response mode, hopefully soon segueing into disaster recovery mode. It enables the city to continue to be eligible for costs incurred, reasonable costs incurred in the provision of services through the state Office of Emergency Services and the federal FEMA system. I look forward to the day when this thing will conclude. I do not believe this is the moment, so I recommend you approve it as a matter of routine business.
Okay, so now that we have moved into the red tier, it looks like we're about to receive $20 million in relief from the federal government. Doesn't really look like on the horizon there's going to be another relief bill. I guess I want to understand why the city council should abdicate this power to the city manager, who's an unelected official. We're voted onto the council to be the check and to be the ones who control the purse strings. And so to give an emergency power is something that shouldn't be looked on lightly. So again, just why should we continue considering where we're moving, and again with the federal relief that has already going to come through?
Through the chair, this global pandemic is unique in my experience, having served in local government my entire career. I can tell you that we meet as a disaster council with the directors. We're currently meeting multiple times every week at 8 a.m. and coming up with goals for the incident action period, monitoring COVID outbreaks within the city, talking about the need for resources, securing those resources. I think we still are in disaster mode, and I think it's a delegated authority that we take quite seriously and been very judicious with, which is why I continue to recommend it.
Last question. When was the last time you used the authority that you've been given with the emergency.
Through the chair, that authority was used just within the last week.
Could you expand on what that was?
We have, through the chair again, we have continued to pursue every available opportunity to get COVID vaccine. At one point this week, working with the community partners we've developed with Fulgent, the firm based in Arcadia, Temple City, about standing up again another mobile vaccination site at one or multiple locations in the community. There's still a lot of community need for vaccination, and the delivery system has been bewildering and slow. I did make a commitment on behalf of the city that if they were able to get vaccine, we'd stand up one at Cameron Park so fast they got a headache, and we would make available each of our 16 municipal parks and the City Hall parking lot if they were able to get the vaccine. So I made some commitments. I told them that the cost incurred to run that thing at about $1,500 a day would be covered by the city under this disaster declaration. And I think if we were able to get a commitment from county authorities for the vaccine, I would function on that immediately.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion?
A motion to approve?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Tabatabai?
No.
Councilman Wu?
Aye.
Councilwoman Diaz?
Took a restroom break.
Uh,
We can continue.
Yes.
And then when she comes back out, we'll get her vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Castellanos?
Aye.
Mayor Lopez Viado?
Aye.
Got it. We'll mark her absent.
Can we continue? Well, we can continue? Okay. All right. So the next agenda item is 4. Go ahead. We have a presentation, correct?
Yes, Mayor, we do. I've asked Paulina Morales of my office to have a PowerPoint presentation to address the questions concerning the City Health Department. Pauline, if you would.
Good evening, Mayor and fellow council members. The action tonight before you is for 2 ordinances. One is for the exempt position for the health officer, and one is adopting by reference the county code provisions. These are necessary steps to move forward with establishing a West Covina Health Department. City staff, along with Dr. Basil, medical consultant, and our city attorney's office, is developing a framework for West Covina's health department. As stated, there are many more steps between tonight's action on the 2 ordinances and the state approval of West Covina's health department. In the presentation, I'll provide a brief overview of the proposed local health department. In December of 2020, the City Council directed staff to look at ways the city could improve better services that were more responsive to West Covina's residents during the pandemic. This including finding alternatives to the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health. For the past year, we have seen practices that have greatly assisted in addressing the pandemic, which has drawn into sharp focus areas of response that can be improved, including improved communication, efficient and equitable distribution of resources, including the vaccine, consideration of local data, and science-based health orders are the goal. West Covina is trying to be proactive and take these lessons to heart, identifying what can be adjusted now and planning to be better prepared for the future. West Covina's priority has and will continue to remain to protect and to save lives of our community members. West Covina wants to be better prepared, be more responsive to West Covina needs, and bring necessary resources to our community. As stated, Los Angeles County is a large, vast area with a lot of different regions in the county. West Covina has had a lower case rate than most communities surrounding us. For example, Baldwin Park had up to 17.1% case rate amongst their population. West Covina is 11.9. Covina, City of Covina was 13.2. Almonte 14.7. City of Pomona 15.7. La Puente 16.6. So West Covina fared lower on our case rates compared to the surrounding cities. Another thing, too, is the county has stated that West Covina's vaccination rate, as far as allocating resources, is vaccinated at 25.5% as of March 8th, 2021. What's important to note is based on the county's health department website, it lists West Covina's population as 86,215. The last time West Covina's population was around 80,000. That was in the 80s. So there's this discrepancy in the population that they have listed on their website. If we were to base it on our actual population from the U.S. Census data that lists us as 105,101 people, our vaccination rate drops down to 21% for the March 8th numbers and 15% for the February 20th numbers, which then puts West Covina lower than the county as far as vaccination rate or percentage. A brief history of the city's partnership with the county health department. In 1936, the city of West Covina executed or adopted a resolution consenting to the county health officer. Thereafter, in 1963, the city executed the health services agreement that actually is the mechanism that provides, or the agreement between the county and the city providing health services to the city. And the city also elected to transfer services. So throughout our partnership with the county, we have had instances where we've asked them to take on additional services and times when we've asked them to where we've taken services away from the county and transferred them, for example, to the state. The timeline, so the only actions that the council has taken to this date was February 23rd, where they adopted a resolution and urgency ordinance to stop consenting to the county health officer. On March 1st, we submitted the required certified resolution and urgency ordinance to the county, notifying them of that. And then July 1st, 2021, we will then be stopped consenting to the county health officer. The agreement that we have with the county, the health services agreement, is the mechanism, like I said, that it's a contract between the city and the county to provide health services. So the county agrees to render public health services. The agreement was originally from 63 to 68. However, it does renew automatically unless otherwise terminated with 30-day notice from the end of any fiscal year. The city agrees to pay the county for costs of performing those services. Lastly, the city can elect to select, collect, and retain its permit fees and thereafter pay the cost of the service. So there is room for that. Should the city decide to terminate that agreement, we would have to provide the city or the county a notice by May 31st, 2021, which would then mean July 1st, 2021. There are two possible scenarios. One, the city would establish a health department approved by the state, and the city would start providing services to our not only our business community, but our community, for all services related to health department. The second scenario is if the state has not approved our local health department, the county, as stated in their letter and mentioned in their town hall, will continue to provide our health department services until the state has approved West Covina's local health department. So now we'll be talking about the proposed health department, the four sections, what the state requires, the structure, the budget, and personnel. As stated in our February 23rd staff report, in order for the state to approve or credit a local health department must meet the minimum items listed above, which include things like collection, tabulation, analysis of all public health statistics, health education programs, laboratory services, environmental health, which obviously includes food inspections. So it's a wide range of things, but these must need to be met in order for the state to approve local health department. The following is a org chart for the West Covina's Health Department. These are functions and not positions that will meet the state requirements for a local health department. West Covina's Health Department will include an advisor committee comprised of scientific professionals, businesses, residents, and institutions to help guide our health department. They would serve as an advisory to make sure that West Covina is meeting its goals in providing health services to our community. It would be City Council, City Manager, Director of Public Health, and our Health Officer. The 7 divisions include social and mental health services, preventative health services and policy programs, environmental health services. And in the next slide here, we go in a little bit more detail about each of the 7 divisions and what they would be comprised of. For example, social and mental health services will include services for substance abuse, including resources for homeless individuals. Having the city's own health department and our own division for social mental health services would allow the city to apply for grants, which would obtain more resources for our homeless community. Environmental health services will include the most known services the county provides, which are the restaurant plan check and inspection services, hotel spa inspections as well. In regards to the budget, so this is the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health budget. As you can see, majority of their funds are obtained through federal and state. Almost 70% of that does come from state or federal funding. In regards to the revenues that they generate from West Covina businesses, from the town hall meeting that they held, they indicated that these were the revenues, which is approximately $500,000 that they generate from West Covina in regards to the permit and service fees. So much like LA County Health Department, local health departments across the nation rely heavily on federal and state funds. These figures are from the National Association of County and City Health Officials. As you can see, once again, federal and state take up a large portion of the funding sources for a local health department. Having said that, West Covina Health Department would be budgeted from we obtain funds from federal funding, state funding. We would also be seeking grants, and then also revenues from fees for service for permit fees and service fees. These are some of the services that county mentioned they provide and their funding services. So most of them, as you can see, are from permit fees that are applied for the individual inspections or services. As an example, Pasadena has a population of 140,000. We're a little bit shy of that, but this is their budget. So their budget for their health department is $15 million. They have 98.38 full-time equivalent positions. They do also receive funding from LA County. So they've received, like all other health departments, grants and from other agencies, and they have received $1.3 million from LA County for HIV counseling and testing. The next item is personnel. We will have, like mentioned in the org chart, a health officer, and then we would contract out to certified and qualified staff. We use this system for our building safety engineering divisions, where we consult out with TransTech. They provide the service, and it's a fee-for-service model, which means that there would not be city staff required. It would all be done through a consultant that would have the qualified individuals to conduct the necessary inspections for the health department. Also, as they'd be consultants, there wouldn't be any additions to our pension obligations. It is important to note that West Covina, through property taxes, does pay into the county for services. Approximately $31 million of West Covina property taxes go to LA County. LA County's budget allocates approximately 33% to their health and sanitation, which would equate to roughly $10.23 million that is contributed from West Covina property owners to the health department. The city would be seeking a graceful transition, a peaceful release, and would be seeking also a tax transfer agreement to recover the fees, the monies that West Covina property owners pay as part of their property taxes. The next steps, so as mentioned, today's action is the two ordinances. We would come back for the second hearing in a public meeting on April 6th. We would be processing the health officer position through our HR commission. We would be incorporating the health department section into the city's annual budget, not including a budget, but the section of the health department into the budget. We're also going to be doing a request for proposals qualification for consulting services for staff for the health department. Adoption fee schedule for obviously the fees and services that the West Covina Health Department will be providing. And lastly, state approval. I did want to go back, sorry, to the budget slide. So part of the services staffing will be covered either through fee service, that the inspection fees, the plan check fees, or through the grants and federal and state funding that would be received. So it would not be coming out of general fund. And I think that concludes our presentation. If you have any questions.
Okay. Council, do you have any questions? Councilman Tabatabai?
Thank you, Paulina. I guess first question. Are we eligible for these federal and state grants if we have yet to be certified by the state?
I think that's a process that we'll start developing as we start working on finalizing our health department. We can start seeing what grants and funds we can get and when we can apply for them.
According to the LA County Health Officer, Dr. Munta Davis, and as was stated, LA County will not change any services currently provided until the state recognizes the city of West Covina as an independent health department, meeting all requirements of 17 CCR 1276. So,
Order, sir. Order.
Point of order. Can we have the police look into it? Thank you. Okay, please proceed.
Yeah. So Paul, I guess the question, if we have yet to be certified, will we be allowed to do the piecemeal approach, which I've heard of starting our permitting and health inspections where we're getting the fees for service if the county is still going to continue doing that?
Well, not that we're comparing ourselves to Vernon, but Vernon currently is doing the food inspections and still utilizing some of the county services.
Yeah, so I understand the city of Vernon, which began doing that in 1986, but according to LA County, they stated that they will not change any services until the state recognizes the city of West Covina. So have we checked with the state if we're going to be allowed to, without being state certified, are we going to be allowed to take that task on? And if the county doesn't allow us to take that task on, how might that change our timeline funding.
Mayor Pro Tem Castellano actually has.
If I may, through the chair, Councilman Tabatabai, I could assist with that based on a quote that I found and shared with everyone. It's actually in the 1983 agreement, and it specifies, in the event that the city elects to set, collect, and retain its own permit fees, it shall so notify the county health officer and shall thereafter pay the cost of the service under this paragraph pursuant to paragraph 9th. So when this agreement was established, it already specified that provision that we always retain the right to, as it pertains to the inspections, to bring that back.
Thank you for that. So that actually leads to my next thought. Going to county fire, because I want to make this comparison. So in 1992, cities like Diamond Bar, who were already contracted with county fire, they got absorbed, and basically through their property taxes, they pay for the county fire and county health services. Now, all cities who were not part of county fire now must, if they want to join county fire, pay that fee for service. So, having said that, once we leave county, so let's say we take on the idea of permitting all of our restaurants and businesses, and let's say this albatross is too expensive for future councils, right? The cost to do this, the cost to our businesses, the cost to the outsourcing is too much. Would we anticipate that the county would now charge us as well to return and have them now do those services for us? So as right now it's taken care of with the property tax, would we, to go back, now have to pay because our property tax money has been allocated elsewhere and they're not going to take it back? Oh, so here you go.
As we've seen on the slides,
I was asking staff.
I know she can answer, but I just wanted to clarify also. As we've seen on the slides, what was taken from the general fund, a lot of that was from permit fees. So if it does go back to county, the businesses pay directly to the permit of fees directly, correct?
So yeah,
and then you can answer.
There are fees that businesses pay, and I think that's what in the county alluded to, that they get around $500,000 in revenues from West Covina businesses or inspection fees, service fees. The $10 million that the county gets, we're not sure where that money is allocated. We're just saying that we're taking an average percentage that we anticipate it's $10 million. How they allocate those funds, we don't know, and I don't think that they've been able to tell us that. So we would probably want to investigate or work with the county and see where, from our agreement, where that money goes and where it's allocated to. But the business, for example, the most common thing, right, the restaurant inspections, those are service fees. So those would be something, as Mayor Pro Tem Castellanos mentioned, something that we already have in our existing health services agreement, saying that we'll take those on and that we will collect and retain the fees from those inspections or plan checks or services that we want to collect the fees from.
Okay, so going back to the city of Vernon, since that seems to be the model we're starting with, they in 2013 they had to pass 3 measures: a utility tax, a parcel tax, and a business license tax to raise the necessary funds to preserve their health services. And then again in 2017, they tried to pass another utility user tax to deal with the budget shortfall and failed. And so again, what gives us the confidence that we are going to be able to, through the permitting, take in enough funds to cover the cost of a health director and the other costs that come along with it?
Like I said, the plan that the consulting plan would be fee for service. So in order for those, the fees would have to cover the consultant fees.
So
just like they do right now, like I mentioned, our building safety and engineering divisions, that's the model we have, and we are actually making revenues, and I can't speak to how much revenues in those divisions.
From what I understand, for the health department, though, we are not allowed to make revenue. Every dollar that comes in must go back out. Is that correct?
Revenue to cover, yes. Cities cannot charge more than the cost of providing the service. So they would apply to the health department as well.
Okay, so in a previous meeting, it was mentioned that the cost for the permitting to our businesses may double what the health department currently charges them. So is that a possibility that the cost to our small businesses would be higher?
I'm not sure who said it would be doubled.
To the chair, if I may answer. California state law requires that when cities adopt fees, they have to be directly related to the costs reasonably borne in the provision of the service. We've identified as the next action step that the city council would consider a fee schedule. And when you do that, we will identify all the costs necessary to provide that service and set the fees appropriately. We think we're pretty efficient. We think we're in the code compliance business, and when we enforce the codes, we get an awful lot done at reasonable prices. Our businesses need services, and we've found them willing to pay for those at our fee schedules.
Okay, so then we're unsure if the cost to our businesses will be higher by taking on this task.
Through the chair, I don't know why we would assume that they would be higher than they now are. County fees are typically pretty high.
Well, that's what you shared with me. I'm just
Mayor Pro Tem
making that with the public.
A question.
So basically, it would be a break-even scenario based on everything we just discussed.
That's correct. And through the chair, I know when we set fees, we have to look at all of the costs reasonably borne in the provision of the service. And most cities, when they do fee studies, and we've got one on our financial recovery plan coming, we've issuing an RFP, and we'll have a expert help us set those fees. Part of the cost reasonably borne in the provision of service is the city overhead. Sometimes during those fee studies, council set an overhead rate, 15.4%, whatever that is, the third floor of City Hall, in addition to the direct cost of sending out the compliance officer. But that's a future step that we've identified in the slides tonight.
Councilman Wu?
Yeah, I want to follow up regarding the fee schedule because all the fees still can have to bring back to City Council to approve. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So in that way, I don't think we are going to charge our business more. I think that's impossible. But I think that we want to create a much more efficient and feasible fee to have our small business to survive. And so what we said over here, we want to do this health department is try to provide better service and much more efficient and fee reasonable. I think maybe and either equal or less than county charge. I think that is what we're here for. So it's not impossible. We're going to approve something so expensive, and the city, and the business cannot afford it. So I think this is one thing, I strongly want to make sure, because my understanding, all the fee charge still need to bring back to City Council to approve. And by the way, permit fee, plan check fee, all this inspection fee, is speaking true, it's a small portion of our fee, to coming in. I think based on you show the county, and Pasadena, majority the fee, the budget is coming from federal and the state, and then maybe later on we can have that database to kind of share some sunshine to us, regarding how we doing this and how we are going to make this thing work without touching the budget of our general fund. I think that is what we're trying to do. Bring revenue and resource to the city and provide a much, much better service for the future.
So,
Sorry, Councilwoman Diaz, want to chime in? I mean, I'd like to distribute the questions among everybody.
So this agenda here is basically addressing the first part of starting this health department. Is that what this is? Where we start off with, I'm reading here that the first step would be to create a public health director.
Correct. So the items before you is to create a health officer position within the city code and to adopt by reference the county health provisions.
Okay. What is this going to cost us to create this? Is it going to cost us anything?
Under this proposed model, no money would be coming out of the general fund.
Okay. And once they create this public director and this committee, what did you call it? Advisory committee?
Mm-hmm.
Once we create that advisory committee, is that the time that where we'd be able to request our $10.23 million that the county cannot explain what they're doing with?
That would be a function of the advisory board, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Tabatabai?
Yes. So going back, the audit report said that one of the issues of the city of West Covina was we were not charging enough for our fees and our fee schedule, and to do a report so we could get our fees up. So the city of Vernon also had this similar issue where they weren't charging enough, and that's why they needed to tap into their general fund. So what gives us the confidence that we are going to meet the permitting fee? And again, you know, I think Councilman Wu made it clear that he doesn't believe that we should charge above county. But what if? I mean, that's a reality that it could. So what have we done to show that we're willing to raise our fees to the level they should be, considering that was a finding of the audit that we were not?
Not to keep repeating myself, but our building and safety department, I think, have adopted county fee schedule. So we're already utilizing the same model that we would be with the health department. If we keep the county fees the same, just as we did, we're using the same county fees for our building and safety.
And how many staff hours have we used since December? Because I know people are talking about cost. So we've already spent money on developing this plan. Do we have that? How many staff hours? Which staff has currently worked on this?
I don't think I've kept a
Through the chair, the staff that's worked on this has been primarily in the city manager's office with the legal advice from the city attorney. I don't think we've kept a tally, but the work in the packet that's in front of you now is reflective of the work effort and the volume and work that's gone into this.
And just
Mayor
to
Pro Tem Casiano.
thank you, Madam Mayor, and just to clarify for Councilman Tabatabai, you asked about the audit, mentioning that the fees that we were previously undercharging for fees. That was corrected long before the audit report was finalized through this administration. That really spoke to the previous administration, and when we brought Wildan on as our building and safety contractor, through that process, it's in the staff report. That was corrected.
City manager, are all of our fees? I've met with you since I've been elected. Are all of our fees up to the level they need to be?
Through the chair, one of the items in the financial recovery plan is for the city to issue a fee study, conduct a fee study, and then once we have that data, to return to the council to make sure that the fees are in line with the cost of providing those services.
So it would be
we took the biggest one first, We took building and safety, and those have been adjusted by council, and that's a model that seems to be working really well. The other city fees for use of city facilities, rentals of the gymnasium, etc., would be addressed in a comprehensive study which is yet to be done.
Councilman Wu?
I think we are to emphasize on the fee schedule, because fee schedule, and I think we've done it before, is we want to, we change to our building and safety fund much lower to matching with what county charge. So let equal, okay, we didn't charge people more, but we charge equally, similar to county charging to their county, okay, and the area. And regarding the health department, what I'm saying is the discharge fee, okay, still the same thing. I think we should charge no more than what county, but again, that would be by the, okay, study and bring to council to final approval. But my point is this, that is only $500,000. That is not based on Pasadena, that is a $50 million, okay, budget. So I think we want to clarify to the resident how we get that $50 million and how is our cost to Dr. Basil and his doctor group. Okay, how can we pay him? So maybe Dr. Basil will come over here, okay, and maybe you can share, because since, okay, you spend a lot of time trying to create something that will help our city current and future, okay, and because my understanding is without what we're doing based on we have been shut down a year, okay, we don't do this, we might get shut down again, okay, so if we don't change the policy, we don't, okay, prevent or prepare for future, and we're going to regret it. So maybe, because I think most of people so worry about is the cost, okay, is that we can afford it, and I know the most expensive is a doctor group. So, and based on your organization that is from you about what the state requirement, all this doctor, I know my understanding you already have a couple of doctors want to join the group, and including the, okay, as advisory or health committee, and to help to try to look into, and most of them, okay, almost all of them are medical doctors. So we want to see, okay, how that will cost us. Can you tell us all this service, and you will be full-time helping us, what is the cost to the city?
Well, actually, simple answer, none.
Basically, we don't have to pay now for your service, and you're doing this based on the future grant, this and that. Can you kind of tell us how, if we don't pay you, basically people talking about we have to pay you $200,000-$300,000. So basically we appoint you, we don't have to pay you a dime.
Yes, under the outsourcing model, yes. So we basically would, even right now, as when I'm working on these projects here, I'm donating my time to the city. So as far as the health department is the outsourced model. So whatever our cost is, wherever all the service that required by the California Department of Public Health will be all provide A to L, whatever is required in the ordinance last time. So at no cost to the city. So we'll bear whatever expenses that is necessary to establish all the services.
So meaning all the doctor, okay, all the public health professional from the university, okay, you recruit, and there will be no cost to our city.
No cost to your city. So of course the 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year plan will be basically start with the full service, basic full service model, and then we'll expand each department based on the state and federal grant and so forth. And then by 5 years or so, we'll get a national accreditation. At least that's the plan.
So your organization with all the, what you're talking about, the staffing for your doctor, okay, let you already basically have an idea, okay, and you can bring the application to the state for them to see we have all these professional help with all the agency, including the mental health. I understand because the mental health division is so important to our city, we don't have that resource.
Yeah, that's what I discussed earlier. Until we really have some type of health department, it's very difficult to go out and solicit for grant and different projects because there's so many grants. Every day I'm receiving grant requests, but I just cannot go out, and that's why I've been requesting.
That's why we're here. We want to give you what the authority so you can apply the grant. So the resource will come to us. Just based on the state and the federal funding, they can give us a lot. Not going to the county, go direct to health department, and all the money we utilize into our city. And I talk about, I think people complaining about the school. Will we have any issue for the school? For the service. I know they currently provide only the nurse. So what's your suggestion?
Well, as far as the school district is concerned, my concern is that they only have a certified public health nurse help manning the school. But in our model, I strongly feel that the physician, just like the city council here, should have a physician, an MD, help advise the city council. And the same thing with the school board. They really should have a physician. At the request, we are available to assist the school board in terms of health issues.
So how about the cost? If we...
No, there will be no cost to the school district.
No cost?
Right.
So basically, our physician will monitor, because we're going to open the school, you have other children, and interactive together. I think we need to closely monitor them and provide the service to make sure they don't bring, they don't have a disease, virus, and bring the virus back home, including the teacher too.
Right. Well, that's why we need to have our local health department. County is necessary, but they are looking at macro pictures. But if we have a local health department, we are looking at the micro picture. We really care about each individual student, school, and so forth. So in my opinion, I think the school district should have an MD be the advisor and really actively, monitoring the student activity and so forth.
And the lady talking about, the county provide the eye, dentist glasses, because I know a lot of children maybe need some kind of resource. The health department, can we provide the resource for them?
Well, there's a lot of resources through the state and federal, especially the state. Actually, in this state of California and in the United States, everybody should have health insurance. And through the state, there's a lot of resources that we can help to bring them the medical, dental, and vision stuff.
So are we not going to go through the normal hiring process?
Can you let me finish my thing? Would you please? This is my time. Let me finish. I didn't interrupt your time. Let me finish my
Councilman Wu, can you ask one question so we can go ahead and go to...
Okay, so I want to, ask you, when we, and provide the service for the school, and basically still in the health department. So I think people should understand that the reason we're doing this, because we don't have a very close personal contact, tracing, and the swabbing. And that is what we want to do to the school and to our community, because we can provide that to only quarantine the individual, not shut down the city. Because county right now is shut down all the places and damage everybody's life. So why is your policy to doing that?
Oh, yeah, we definitely need to swap, trace, and monitor all the student and the community activity. And also part of the department is that we're going to have an innovation center. For example, all these businesses, one of the key components is really the ventilation system. For example, right now we have to start preparing for the next pandemic. And without the proper ventilations, actually it's more dangerous right now to eat in the tent, like a closed tent outside, than eat a much better ventilation indoor.
So your department will create some kind of engineering to help the school and help the restaurant to have a filter, so the air condition can basically filterize.
We should really set some standard. Actually, the city of Philadelphia already take the first move. If you have a good ventilation system, you can go ahead and dine indoor now at 25 to 50% capacity.
Okay, the most important thing is it doesn't cost us anything. Okay, thank you.
Councilman Tabatabai.
So this is for staff. So are we not going through our normal HR commission interviewing process in order to develop this and hire a public health director? Have we already made the decision on who our public health director and who is staffing all of these departments?
We will be going through the normal process. As mentioned, the next step is taking the health officer position to the HR commission. So we will be developing the description of the position, and it'll be going through the HR Commission for approval.
So, because what I just heard was we have a volunteer who will be running the health department with interns and other volunteers, and we will have this volunteer set up for 5 years until we can then get grants. Is that accurate?
I think we're going to have staff that's going to be funded through grants as they come in.
So the doctor did mention that it is very difficult to get those competitive grants if we are not state certified. So again, is the model that we are planning on using a volunteer model for the first 5 years? And having said that, are we going to be able to attract the highest level public health director to the city of West Covina as a 5-year volunteer?
I think it's outsourcing, it's not volunteer, right? So you want to answer, okay, since you are helping.
Can you please come to the, we won't be.
Sit at the front so you can answer the question.
Under the city model, will be outsourcing.
So who pays for the outsourced?
I'll be responsible for all the stuff as far as the
I don't understand. You'll be responsible in what role? What position do you hold in the city to be responsible for this?
Or whoever the entity. So we, depending on how the city is going to go through this process, whoever want to do the outsourcing model, in this case, I just think, list, for example, myself, but whoever want to do the outsourcing model should be responsible for all expenses.
So what's their title?
The title? Well, there will be just like TransTech. TransTech contract with the city of West Covina to provide all the office building and safety inspections. So in these cases, a TransTech model will be responsible for the health department.
Okay, so then we're outsourcing to your company,
or whoever group that the city want to recruit.
Okay, so then it's going to be so you're the one who has pushed this model on us, and then now you are also the one who we are going to contract with to outsource. This doesn't seem above board.
No, this is not correct. I offered the city three options. Basically, one model is the basic model. The other option is we work with the LA County, the County Department of Public Health Service. Or the third option is do a full service health department. So there's the three options that you can also
right.
work
So on ethical grounds, shouldn't you and anyone associated with your group remove yourself from being the one that we outsource to?
Well, then this live to the priority of the city. And
well,
the
I'm asking you. You talked about that the county should have a moral obligation to give us back our money. I think that this seems to be a conflict of interest.
And point of that, okay, I think this should be answered by our city attorney. Is that do we have any conflict of interest? Okay, basically because we are doing this is the only way we can have a professional doctor. Okay, and we are not going to touch our general fund. And everything we pay from the grant.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, we'll make sure this follows all the city policies, the protocols. Go to HR Commission. We'll make sure we'll do an RFQ for all the qualifications, and then the staff and council will select who is going to get outsourced to.
Anything that occurs anyways in the city usually goes through a process, a bid. It goes through, it's out there for the public, so.
Yeah, and I'd like to move that we table this item indefinitely.
I see no second. So that move fails.
So I want to move the motion to approve.
I just...
Madam Mayor, or do you have questions? I was going to...
Go ahead, City Attorney.
Your motions.
I'm sorry?
I was going to lead you through your motions unless you have more questions.
No, I mean, and I'm going to personally give my experience with LA County Department of Public Health. As you know, I do work for the City of Los Angeles, and I do have LAUSD students at my facility. And throughout this whole time, I know my colleagues we've been frustrated of, the constant changes, the inconsistency, and it really affects the community that I serve there in Boyle Heights, as well as different parts in Los Angeles. It affects the children, it affects the community. It was just, and I just had another incident last week, but I won't go in details, but, here I just want the best for our city residents. And, the issues that we've been going and through the Department of Public Health on our end, so I get to actually see it firsthand experience there in LA. I know currently right now you could read the article, that there's a battle right now with the street vendors with the Department of Public Health, and if you see their fees, but I won't go in detail. You can read that. It's a current battle right now. I know that they had no comments and stuff, but I just wanted to say that, I just want the services. We can do so much, and the quick efficiency and everything, but that's all I have to say. I just had a frustration with the Department of Public Health last week with my facility at work.
I'd like to say, as a resident of LA County and having a son in LA County public schools here in West Covina, that I've been very happy with LA County Public Health and the students of West Covina Unified School District, and that school board spoke very highly of the services they've been receiving from LA County Public Health. I also spoke with the Covina Valley Unified School District, and they are concerned about their 5 schools that are currently in the city limits of West Covina as well. So, I understand that, Madam Mayor, that you have a certain experience.
I work with the different school districts, actually, and we do have a fine school district. West Covina and Covina,
yes,
they
and
are very
LA
fine
County Public
how
Health,
they handle
LA County,
things.
LA
I work
County
with the
Public
LA
Health
County,
works very well
I work with LA
West
County
Covina
at the school
Unified
districts
School
in
District.
East LA Boyle Heights,
I-
and I see the difference with all school districts.
Well, I understand.
Go ahead, Councilman Wu. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and I think the reason we over here, we want to bring the resource, we want to bring the service, to the city, and we want to using any other privatized, think out of the box, see how can we bring the resource to the city. We went through 1 year very tough in our lifetime. We never think we are going to go through something like last year till now, and how can you guarantee this thing not going to happen again? How can you guarantee this pandemic is just over because we're starting to open it up? Because if the county don't do the change, make their health department smaller to make it a much more personal and much swift, and a service, meaning the trace and swab, and this pandemic will happen really quick. And this is going to create another major, disaster to our community. Let me finish, please. Mm-hmm. We're trying to do this. We're trying to hopefully, with our health department, so we can bring $50 million into our city, create the resource. We can create the mental health division, alcohol, and drug abuse division, and the prenatal care division, children care division. All this is funded by state and federal. Right now, all this money go directly, to the county, and we don't even know wherever we have the service from the county. If the county doing such a great job, I'm not trying to criticize them because they're just too big. They are really working hard, want to serve us. But you can see, LA County is the worst county situation on pandemic in the United States, and we have so many deaths, including our city, and because they just cannot react fast enough due to the county is so big, population 11 million. And that's why we're doing this. We know this is very tough to people to understand, we want to do this, hopefully can bring some resource, bring some, improvement to our future, and our current situation. We want to protect our children. Now, children going back to school, how can we protect them, based on what county doing right now? So hopefully with all this, and we can open up, the county to think about that. How can we do a very swift, and trace and swab to make sure quarantine the person carry the virus, so we don't have them to outbreak. We stop them, from the beginning. So in that way, we are not going to have a pandemic. Without doing this, we're going to see this again, and we're going to get shut down again. So we really need to, and take this opportunity and using, any source we can get and to get a result to serve our community.
So
and serve life. Thank you.
If this moves forward, there's going to be a schedule of public hearing on April 6th. City Attorney, was there something you needed to say?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, there's two motions that we're asking the council to make tonight. Introduce first reading of ordinance number 2478. That would be one motion, and then a separate motion would be introduce for first reading ordinance number 2479 and set a public hearing for that ordinance on April 6th. Those are two separate motions.
So is there a motion for ordinance number 2478?
So move.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mayor, before roll call, I'm going to read the title of the ordinance. Ordinance number 2478, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of West Covina, California, amending Section 2-236, exempt positions of Division 3, Personnel System of Article 5, Employees of Chapter 2, Administration of the West Covina Municipal Code. I have a motion by Wu and a second by Diaz.
I'd like to move to amend the motion. I move to amend the motion to state that no public health director position can be created until a full financial analysis of that position is made to council and public.
Is there a second? Seeing none, motion dies.
Roll call, Councilmember Tabatabai.
No.
Councilman Wu.
Aye.
Councilwoman Diaz.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Castellanos.
Yes, and through the chair, I wanted to mention this earlier as part of the conversation, but one of the things that the presentation pointed out is that even the data that the county provided, the town hall, and what they're using is not even our accurate population. They're listing 86 some odd thousand as our population. I think that's a very important point to note, is that if they can't even give us good data on our population, how can we rely on the rest of the data? Also, when Ryan Serrano came earlier, he mentioned Caremore and Rite Aid are new vaccination sites. I didn't know that. That speaks to disorganization. Also, they couldn't speak to where the $10 million...
Point of order. Are we...
Me, please,
point of order.
Point
of information. Point of information.
You know what? Right now...
Point of information.
Too many times.
Are we
okay.
debate? This is not debate. This is vote.
I wanted to put forth
of information.
There
was a time for debate.
One moment, gentlemen.
Please.
City Attorney.
Madam Mayor, we're doing roll call. He's commenting, and we'll finish roll call. And
please,
so you can continue to comment.
Don't do that anymore.
Thank you.
Totally disrespectful. I don't do that to you. As I was saying, to corroborate some bullet points I wanted to make, if we can't even rely on the data and the county can't speak to where the $10 million goes, and in fact, on a conference call I had with them, the quote I read earlier, they were not even aware that we have the right to bring back services. My recommendation to them was to go back and read the documents that exist that exemplify the history that this agreement is not static. It has, as the slide showed, it's gone back and forth with many changes throughout the years, and this is a continuation of that right. So with that, aye is my vote.
Mayor Lopez Viado.
Aye.
And then, Mayor, we need a motion for the second ordinance.
Are you going to read it first, or do I need them to motion?
I need a motion.
Okay. Is there a motion for ordinance number 2479?
I'll move for it.
And Madam Mayor, in setting that public hearing for April 6th.
And that will schedule a public hearing for April 6th. Correct. We had a motion from Councilwoman Diaz. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Before roll call, I'm going to read the title of the ordinance. Ordinance number 2479, an ordinance of the city of this, I'll start over. Ordinance number 2479, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of West Covina, California, repealing and replacing Article 2, Health Code of Chapter 13, Health and Sanitation of the West Covina Municipal Code to adopt by reference Division 1, Public Health of Title 11, Health and Safety, including the rules and regulations appointed hereto, and Division 1, Public Health Licenses of Title 8, Consumer Protection, Business and Wage Regulations of the Los Angeles County Code. I have a motion by Diaz and a second by Castellanos. Councilmember Tabatabai.
Before I vote, I'd like to comment. First off, the LA County Department of Public Health actually has an office just down the lawn. We are members of District 3, which includes 13 cities. So the claim of 88 cities and too big, I wish Dr. Basil would have presented us with the facts about District 3 and the small 13 cities we are a part of. I also would like to say before I vote that we still have not had a cost out of startup costs before we are eligible for any federal or state grants, nor have we had a cost out of staff time that has already been used. I hope that we are not planning to use the $20 million COVID relief monies on any of this. I vote no.
Councilman Wu.
Yes, but I want to have a comment, too, since everybody want to comment before they vote. So I vote yes. I want to say something. I hope, we have a disagree and agree. I understand. But, I hope, and the council member Tabai can be respectful. When people are talking, don't interrupt. We don't interrupt when you speak. So please don't interrupt. And then after we finish, you have your chance to rebuttal. I think this is how democracy is about, right? We know you against this. We respect that. We let you talk about your thing, but please respect all the city council when they are speak. About their mind. Don't interrupt. Become a harassment because you kind of stop our momentum talking about our belief. So please. And let's respect each other. And I understand this is something everybody have their different opinion, and that we respect that. I respect that. I hope you respect us too. If we are doing this same thing, trying to do the best for the city. Mr. Tabai. Thank you so much. And my vote is yes. Thank you.
Councilwoman Diaz.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Castellanos.
Yes.
Mayor Lopez Viado.
Just wanted to remind people, no interruption of county services will occur. So just to ease people's mind, but yes.
Motion
Motion
passes 4-1.
Okay. Item number 5, Councilwoman Diaz. Go ahead, proceed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Manager, I have a question for you. Why do we need to spend $490,000 on our codes or our zoning codes to be updated?
Through the chair, if I may. Item 5 tonight is the spending of grant money. We applied for and were awarded a local early action planning grant, a LEAP grant from the State Office of Housing Community Development. And I think it's appropriate that the city embark on this comprehensive code update because it's a long overdue update of the city zoning codes, which are fairly archaic now. I think they were last adopted in 1975. We went out once we got word of the grant and issued an RFP. We had a pretty competitive process. We had 4 firms bid. We think we've identified for you the clear best bid, the most qualified firm. They've done projects like this for the city of Irvine, for the city of Rialto. Most recently, we had the privilege of working with some of their staff on the planning approvals that were quite complicated for the Eminence Queen of the Valley Hospital, so we know of their character and their abilities. And I think if it weren't for the state grant, we wouldn't be bringing this forward. But it's a gift, and I'm recommending you take advantage of it and allow us to help get these codes more reflective of where the community wants to go with its zoning.
I don't have a problem with with the updating our codes. The only problem I have is this LEAP grant. What's the purpose of that? What's the purpose of the LEAP grant? I'll just mention what I found out.
Yeah.
It's the purpose of it is, number one, it's an accelerated housing production, and it facilitates the compliance of implementing the Cycle 6 of RENA, which is the Regional Housing Needs Assessment. Are you aware of that? So what I'm saying is, this is a state grant that the state is going to dictate to us how we're going to update our zoning codes in order for them to tell us how we want to accelerate the housing department or housing development. Is that what it is?
Through the chair, that's exactly what this is. It's a way for the city to use state money so we can get our codes in compliance with what state law requires. The RENA numbers are kind of the elephant in the room. California has a housing crisis.
Right.
And all the cities are kind of a top-down approach, being blanketed with more and more housing legislation every single year, imposing on the locals these standards that none of us like at this level. Most recently, I think they turned all the R1 zones into R2 zones by right, by ministerial right. And I don't think this trend is going to lessen. Mm-hmm. And I think our challenge is to try and find local ways to have an ordinance that reflects community values and is in compliance with state law. That's what makes this a hard assignment for these consultants. By the way, they're here tonight, as I understand it, and if you want to introduce yourselves to them or they to you, this might be a good moment for that.
Come on up. Housing is a big...
Sorry, what was that?
Housing is a big topic in
Yes.
California, so yes, go ahead.
Definitely fully aware of that. My name is John Moreland. I'm the Director of Planning with KTGY. This is my first in-person hearing with us, so this is a bit interesting.
Normally not like this, but today's a special
classes,
day,
yeah.
but go ahead.
But anyways, yes, thank you. Thank you for this. And yeah, as City Manager mentioned, there are a lot of housing legislation that's going on. Just a personal reference, I live and I'm involved in the city that I'm in. We're definitely keep aware of these regulations as well. So I know it from both the resident side as well as the business side.
What city do you live in?
What's that?
What city do you live in?
Long Beach.
Long Beach. Okay.
So I'm on the board of the largest historic district in that city.
You're lucky you have a health department.
There are.
Yes. But yeah, I don't want to go into the health department. I mean, housing is complicated. Is complicated enough. But anyways, I started off my career actually with the city of West Covina in 2004. Started with an intern, went up to assistant planner, had the opportunity to come back in 2009, and then work with the Queen of the Valley specific plan that was approved by the council in 2019. Yeah, there are a number of considerations with this LEAP grant that will have to be kind of updated to ensure that essentially the code update also meets the code requirements. So the affordable housing provisions are updated. ADU, I know that most cities are going along with that, but that seems to be updated pretty frequently as well too. And we're definitely aware of that. Yeah, I'm just happy to kind of work with you. And one of the things that we want to do in our proposal as well too is we have a pretty extensive outreach program. This code will be essentially the implementing tool for the future development in the city, and we feel it's really important to reach out to every single district. We're going to have a website. This is included as part of our proposal, and yeah, just happy to answer any questions that you may have as well.
You know what? I don't have a problem with updating our codes. I just have a problem with this grant. That's my problem. And the grant basically telling me, it's like going to buy me a new car, and the car dealer says, well, we're going to lend you money, but you're going to buy the car we want you to buy. And I don't like that. So that's the issue I have. So as far as updating our codes, no problem. I love it. But I just don't agree with this grant that the state is basically telling us what we're going to have to do. Thank you.
So are you currently involved? I believe there was where City of West Covina has to build like 5,000...
5,346.
I'm sorry?
5,346 units.
Through you, Madam Mayor, if I may, that's what's called the RHNA numbers. It's an acronym, RHNA, Regional Housing Needs Assessment.
Well, my question was, do they take consideration of park space? I know, like, Chino Hills, for example, they're wanting them to build almost 3,000 homes, but a lot of it's state parks. Do they take that into consideration, including our city? We have parks, we have, different that you can't build.
And I know from my understanding of this process is that essentially the state essentially provides an allocation to the regional agencies, and then so the allocations mandated essentially through the Southern California Association of Governments, or SCAG. And when I don't know the details of how they analyze this, but I know they look at vacant properties, or vacant large parking lots, commercial shopping centers is a key one that they look at. They look at vacant non-open space designated lands. Having worked also for the County of Orange, there's a lot of protected habitat and things of that nature in the County of Orange. Those are taken into, it's my understanding, the areas are taken into consideration. And previously we also worked with the city of Signal Hill. They have a lot of open space, but it's all kind of developed with oil fields and things of that nature. So they also take that into effect with their allocations as well.
Councilman Wu?
Just a quick...
Mayor Pro Tem.
I think your answer was that they do take open space and buildable space into consideration. Given the RHNA numbers that we've been allocated over $5,000, in your experience and expertise, where could we put that? Because, I mean, from my viewpoint, I would love for us to be able to build that. Difficult part would be to convince developers to move forward on that. But being an infill city, I don't know that we have that many places. Do we? What does your experience say? I mean, where could we actually put those units?
Thank you for asking that. That isn't part of kind of our scope to really kind of figure that out. I know that's something that the housing element will look into. We will be working with the consultant that's going to update the housing element. As part of the housing element, we'll need to identify essentially where those units could be by a code perspective. It doesn't necessarily mandate that thou shalt build this many units here, but essentially give the
So basically, you're doing the zoning and the code update, so including the setback, including the square footage, including the allowance, many square feet they can build. So this is what do you have to go to hearing? Community outreach, you need to do it.
Yes, it includes community outreach, and the codes will have to go through the planning commission as well.
And then they bring back to city council final approval, right? So we still have to approve what you recommended, right?
Yes.
So the based on that, and I represent San Gabriel Valley Council of Government, and I represent them as a SCAG of and human development about housing. And they give us a presentation, they want us to change the single-family house zoning into the multiple unit. I think that would be very scary, for us to kind of changing all the single-family house they can build multi-unit. So that code, is that one of your agenda? Is what state want to force it into it?
Well, it's the code that we'll be updating isn't necessarily the single family. It's the ADU provision, the accessory dwelling units, and we would be working with city staff about what parameters those accessory dwelling units would fit in with state guidance. So we would be reaching out to the community about that, about those provisions.
Yeah, based on the presentation I heard from the state representative, they're talking about they want us to loosen the zoning, so make developer easier to develop. Is that what your mission to do it?
Yeah, and for residential housing that are identified in the housing element, those would essentially have to go through essentially a ministerial action. However, one thing that we can add in that, and that we're experienced with being both architecture planning firm, is objective design standards that the code currently doesn't have, and performance standards. So essentially, the state has has said that those standards are valid and that can be enforced, rather than essentially just kind of subjective findings.
So your procedure will be and based on some update code, and go to the public, have a community outreach, and listen to our residents some feedback.
Yep, and then
set up some kind of provision, and then send to the planning committee for them to review, approve, and come to city council final approval.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a question? Would anybody like to motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Tabatabai?
Aye.
Councilman Wu?
Aye.
Councilwoman Diaz?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Castellanos?
Aye.
Mayor Lopez Viado?
No. Motion passes 3-2. Okay, on to the next one. Item number 6, Councilwoman Diaz.
I understand this is just a report that we're just going to submit, but I would like the staff to explain this to me, what this is.
Through the chair, if I may provide just a brief introduction. This is a statutorily required annual report. The State Office of Planning and Research and the State Department of Housing and Community Development require that every incorporated city in this state do this every year by April 1st. So we're ahead of the deadline, but not by much. This just transmits to the state how we're faring in terms of all of these production goals. So it's an audit report that we're statutorily required to turn in.
Okay.
Does that help? Did I answer your question?
Well, I did a little bit of research, and I guess there's 7 elements that have to be reported, but the most important one is about housing, the housing element. And it was very disturbing to me, as the other council members have mentioned, that there's 5,334 homes that the state is mandating that we build in 8 years. And it's bothersome to me that where are we going to put these homes? And I mean, are we just going to stack them up? I mean, I just can imagine how West Covina is going to change. I mean, people worried about a hotel and BKK. Get ready, folks. West Covina is going to change. And we're going to have a lot more traffic. And, I mean, even the breakdown of the different homes. We got very low-income homes. We got low-income homes. We got moderate homes. I mean, there's a big variety. And I can just imagine how the traffic is going to suffer in West Covina. I just don't understand where the state is going to mandate us to put these homes. I mean, where are we going to stack them? Where are we going to put them? So that was just I just wanted to say something about it, because I am for building. However, 5,334? I guess we should feel lucky, because I guess Huntington Beach has 11,000 they have to build. So, but I just want to make that comment about this issue. Thank you.
Councilman Wu?
My understanding, our general plan was updated in 2016. Am I right? So we're talking about entire 10 freeway surrounding. There will be development for general plan for high rise, okay, and mixed use. Am I right? The answer is yes.
Yes, sir, it is. And much of that development will be included in the downtown area.
Thank you. Okay, I was there. Okay, I was the person in 2016.
I didn't see Joanne behind me. Or I
yeah, just say yes. Okay, I was just testing you, so you fall asleep or not. Okay, so yes, 2016. Okay, downtown. Okay, and that we're talking about. Okay, and they go to BKK. They are not including the general plan. They including the special plan. Okay, because they are totally different. But in the Azusa, okay, we have some general plan and our downtown. Am I right? Yes, right?
Yes.
Yes, please, thank you. Just say yes. Okay, so right now, based on and our 10 freeway, our surrounding on the general plan, they kind of make the area become high density, and living a mixed use. So in that way, because we prefer over there is retail and entertainment rather than housing. So I want to know, I understand the general plan every year you need to report to the state that we are continue to follow our general plan and pushing what we approve upon. So, but 5,346 units, we should have some idea, so we can comply. If we don't, comply what state, we cannot make 5,346. What will be the consequence?
If I may, through the chair.
Sorry, we could barely hear you.
If I may respond. Okay. As just to clarify, for this particular report, this was for this is for the 2014 through 2021 planning period, and for this planning period, the RENA number is 831. 831. It's not 5,334 for this planning period for this particular report. The 5,334 is for the next planning period.
The next 8 years.
Yes. For the next planning period, we did hire a housing consultant. Was currently working on helping us work on updating our housing elements of our general plan, and we will be starting community meetings soon. But as far as the housing element update is concerned, upon speaking to John Douglas, our housing element consultant, he mentioned that we may not have to increase the density in certain areas because we already have that density increased in the downtown area, and in the city's general plan. Housing is also allowed in commercial areas as well. So the RENA number doesn't necessarily mean we have to build the houses. We just have to provide for areas where developers can potentially build them if those areas are available.
And the following question, you're talking about 2014 to 2021?
Yes.
2021?
Yes.
800 houses we have to build.
We have to be able to allow for 834 houses.
We have the
And
834.
we have that.
Do we have from 2014 till 2021?
We don't necessarily have to build it, but we have to allow for it.
So during that time, how many houses have been built based on our general plan from 2014 to 2021? And after that, 2021 to another 8 years, we have to build 5,346.
We have to be able to make room and designate areas in our city to be able to accommodate those. Yes, not necessarily build them.
So the question will be: I know this is a little bit but still general plan issue. The Vincent, and the Pioneer, the housing project, and is that including our future or our current? Because that
it would include the future, since
future.
If they are approved.
We need a number.
Yes, if they are approved.
The future will be good, okay? Because I don't want to. That's the history, okay? Because want to make this 5,346 is very tough job, okay? We don't know where we can find the land, okay, to build that many houses, okay? And especially, okay, we know that West Covina predominantly is a single-family house, and I know they want to change us. They want to change all the city. But it's very difficult, okay? People want to hang on it because they like that kind of style. So anyway, will be a tough fight. And do we have an answer about consequence if we cannot fulfill, okay, what state will penalize us by taking away our funding or something, or sue us, or what?
Well, through the chair, both of those latter two items, and I think maybe a cautionary tale would be the city of Huntington Beach. That city council has taken a very belligerent attitude. They got sued, and the state's going to win. I can tell you, following this system, we're going to comply with state law and submit the reports and do all the things that we're required to do.
I totally
do not recommend the belligerent approach.
I just wanted to vent. That's it.
Through the chair. In addition, if we do not have a certified housing element, we would not be able to compete in certain grants.
Motion to approve, please.
Quick question, though. Can they consider an ADU part of that list?
Yes.
Okay. So ADU
I'll
can
second.
count as the housing development?
Yes. And our part of this report does include ADUs.
Okay, that's all my question. So you had moved the motion.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Diaz, second. Roll call.
Councilmember Tabatabai.
Aye.
Councilman Wu.
Aye.
Councilwoman Diaz.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Castellanos.
Aye.
Mayor Lopez Viado.
Aye, motion approves 5-0. Okay, on to the department regular matters. Item 9, consideration of lease purchase. So who will be presenting this update?
Captain Ken Plunkett is going to make just a terrific report for us tonight. Welcome, Captain.
Good evening, Jesse. This is Assistant City Clerk. Item number 9. Your item is up. Captain Ken Plunkett is going to give the presentation.
Might as well do a mic check. Good evening, Council. I caught you when you're fresh, so this will be good. I'll make this a short 2-hour presentation, and we should be out of here soon. But I want to thank you for your time, for allowing us to come to present tonight. I just want to make sure I want to introduce Jesse Munn from Flock Safety. He's our sales rep and consultant in this area. He's joining us via Zoom. He's been super patient. Jesse, we appreciate you still hanging on. Are you there, and can you hear us?
Yes, thank you for having me.
Okay. All right. Well, Council, thank you. City staff, thank you, and the residents who stuck around, thank you for having us. I know you're on Zoom watching. Tonight, I want to take the opportunity to present a proposal for the acquisition and implementation of the Flock Safety Automatic License Plate Reader APL camera system. In looking at ways to enhance public safety in our community, like other neighboring cities, we have seen an increase in property crime, to include stolen vehicles. Additionally, vehicles are most oftentimes associated with reported crimes and serve as a means to identify and prosecute potential suspects. The Los Angeles County Task Force for Regional Auto Theft Prevention, TRAP, estimates $1 billion worth of vehicles are stolen in LA County annually. In an effort to address these public safety concerns, the police department has researched the Flock Safety camera system, and through our findings, believe that the addition of the Flock Safety ALPR camera system will help reduce and deter crime in our community, reduce calls for service, and assist the police department in solving various additional crimes reported throughout the city. Go ahead, next slide. I just wanted to give some brief information on Flock. A Flock Safety company began in 2017. It first began providing safety camera systems to privately owned businesses and HOAs. Their camera system became popular as it began to take an effect in the community, and they joined offering the camera systems to the public safety in 2018. You can go ahead and change the slide now, Paulina, and just hold there. The mission of the Flock Safety Company is to eliminate nonviolent crime and is now live in over 1,000 cities, 38 states, and over 500 police departments in the U.S. Since its inception, the Flock Safety ALPR system has proven to reduce and deter crime, reduce calls for service, and provides a scalable solution that delivers actionable evidence to increasing solvability and clearance rates for various criminal investigations throughout jurisdictions where the technology has been utilized. What I'd like to do now is just show a quick, this is a Flock's overview video. It's better hearing from them than it is for me, and it's a quick couple of minutes, and I think it's extremely informational. So, Paulina, if you could play that. Just click right on the screen.
We started Flock to eliminate nonviolent crime, and that's because 87% of crime goes unsolved throughout the U.S. It's not due to a lack of trying on the law enforcement side. It's because there's a lack of evidence. So we asked police across the nation, what is that critical factor that can help you solve more crime? And we heard time and time again, license plates are the critical missing piece.
70% of major crimes are committed with a vehicle, and license plates give police the lead they need to actually solve crime. And we saw that there was technology on the market that could solve that evidence gap, but the technology was large, very expensive. There was something that could work, but just didn't fit the need. We solved those problems with solar power, integrated cellular, and modern electronics to make the camera small and affordable so we can put this powerful technology in the hands of a regular neighborhood. So after 2.5 years, Flock Safety is in 36 states. We're working with several hundred police departments, and we're helping them solve 4 to 5 crimes an hour.
Privacy is very important to Flock, and we have done a lot to protect privacy of our customers. The consumer has all the access to the data. They can decide if they want to share that with just the HOA board or the residents of the entire community.
We make it really easy for you to pull footage in the event that a crime occurs. Because our solution is web-based, any authorized user can log in from a device that has internet access. Once inside the portal, you simply use our robust filtering features to either filter on date, time, vehicle attributes, or even partial plate number to get right down to the evidence you need in a few clicks. Armed with Flock footage, law enforcement now has the actionable evidence they need to solve crime. Flock cameras can be installed just about anywhere. What differentiates Flock from other automated license plate reading cameras is that we leverage solar plus battery, along with cellular for data communication, eliminating upfront costs.
So a Flock Safety license plate reading camera is a camera that takes pictures of all traffic in front of the camera, but our cameras go the extra step and look for identifying features like color of the vehicle, type of vehicle, make of vehicle, state of the license plate. And these identified features, which we call vehicle fingerprint, help our police customers quickly sort through thousands and thousands of vehicles to find the ones that they need to solve crime.
The great thing about the Flock Safety camera is that it's affordable for any type of neighborhood or community. And that includes everything from installation, the hardware, ongoing maintenance, software upgrades, as well as the cellular service that pushes the information to the cloud so that you can capture footage from anywhere. At minimum, you can have one camera at your entrance. If you were to have 50 homes, it ends up being $40 per home each year.
Our mission is to eliminate nonviolent crime across the country. We can only do that by working with every neighborhood and every police department throughout the country. So please contact us so we can help you make your community safer.
That video pretty much says it all, but I'm going to, I guess, say it all again as I continue the presentation. What makes Flock technology different from other APLR systems? We just want to point out the public-private partnership opportunities. Like I said before, the company started out providing camera systems to HOAs and businesses and then came into the police world. And it creates a great network in the communities to help solve crime. They have their patented proprietary vehicle fingerprint technology, which has infrared cameras and things, and we'll get into that in a minute. It's infrastructure free. They basically come out. We're looking right now for solar installs. They come out and install the cameras. It's a web-based. All the information goes into the cloud server. So there's really no infrastructure, and it's a simple system to use and access data, and it's reasonably affordable at the price. Next slide. Thank you. I just wanted to get into some of the, without boring you with too many details, just get into some of the camera stuff. If you guys have questions, please feel free. Jesse's here to answer the questions too. I don't want to prolong this more than I have to, but we'll be here for as long as you need. Basically, this is a photo, the photo that you see of the car. Each camera that's put up is designed to capture 2 lanes of travel in a single direction for license plates. You can have solar or AC powered cameras. It has the passive infrared motion and detection with night vision, so it gives us the best 24-hour option for capturing plates. It's got an embedded cellular LTE connection, and that's all included in the price, so it works wirelessly. It takes still images, not live video. That's a misconception. It doesn't. It's constantly just, it senses motion, and it's taking pictures as things move by. Like I said, 2 lanes per camera. Can capture up to 45,000 plates per day at a given camera site, and it can capture vehicle plates at speeds up to 100 miles an hour as they go by. Yes, ma'am.
The up to 2 lanes, is it going in the same traffic, or can it capture opposite?
So you want to put it where it's going the same. The vehicle code says that everybody should have 2 plates on their car, but a lot of times there's just one. It's usually in the back. That's the one that most people have. So putting it for opposite lanes of travel is not going to get what you want. If you really want to cover that street and it's a one-way in each direction, you'd want 1 in each direction. It's focused to capture the back of the plate.
And it still can capture even though there's gridlock or if they're following too closely to a vehicle?
Absolutely. So it senses movement. It's on motion. So as the cars move, it's flashing. It's taking pictures of that, and we're going to get into how the cameras zero down for that plate capture.
So just to clarify, so then the 30 cameras would then be for 15 streets? If right, we go both directions?
Roughly, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
You go, next slide, Paulina. Really important to Flock safety and the West Covina Police Department is Flock prides themselves on the ethic-driven innovation, protecting customers' privacy. Flock doesn't store any personal data. They detect unbiased, objective data. They're taking pictures of the car. Your license plate, there's no privacy obligation when you have a car and you're driving on the street. There's no privacy for that. It's out in public, and that's what the cameras are detecting. Unbiased information. They're catching your vehicle information as it goes by. It's not facial recognition software. In fact, the Flock system has no ability to do people searches in the system. Like, we'll talk about the search capabilities in a minute, but there's no people search ability. This is for vehicles. It can do bicycles, and it can do golf carts, but it's specifically for capturing license plates. It's not immigration enforcement software. It's not traffic enforcement software. And there's a search reason field required when we search the database to gather information from it. There's an audit trail that's made by the users so that there's searchable reasons to find out why they're in the database and what they're searching for. Cameras are hyper-focused to capture license plate data, like we said, not designed to capture the people images. Camera software has no searchable capabilities. We've gone over that. Next slide. Okay, once the image is taken by the camera, it's basically simultaneously shipped to the cloud. So the Flock safety system uses the secure AWS government cloud. It's the Amazon government cloud. It's CJIS compliant. All the information's dual encrypted. It's encrypted as soon as it's captured. It's encrypted as it goes over. The footage is 100% owned by us. and it's deleted after 30 days. So it goes to the server, it sits there for 30 days, and then it's erased. It's not a long-term retention. If we need to pull data from that for evidence purposes, then we follow the evidence code and the evidence booking procedures to incorporate that into the evidence. But other than that, the data that's taken on the cameras is gone in 30 days. Like I said, go ahead, ma'am.
Even if it's in the cloud?
Yeah, so the cloud's not going to store for more than 30 days. It wipes. Okay. So it's data that we need to use in a relatively quick time manner. And that's for just the retention, the fear of storing people's personal data and whatnot. So they've come up with a 30-day retention period, and then it erases. Like I said, if we need the data and we find it to be useful as a piece of evidence in an investigation, we can then pull that data, and now we use it as evidence, and then we follow the requirements to retain evidence.
So basically, it's a good lead.
Excuse me?
It's a good lead.
Yes, it's a great lead. That's exactly what it is. And like I said, CGIS compliant, and the data is fully encrypted. Go ahead, next slide. Just a real quick mention about the APLR. The California Civil Code kind of mandates what information you can gather and how you gather it, how you can store it. So we follow those compliance parameters that are built into the code. As part of the contract that Flock will present to the city to be reviewed by the city attorney, it has those civil codes right in the contract that says, hey, we're bound by the civil code to follow these codes and parameters when we're dealing with gathering this information and how we store it and what we do with the data. So that's all under civil code. We also, the West Covina Police Department also has our ALPR policy online. It's on our website, like our entire policy manual is. You can just go to westcovinapd.org, hit the About tab, Resources, and you can click on our policy manual, and you can view our manual. I think page 280, if you want to reference it, is where the ALPR information is. Let's see, where are we at? So it transfers to the secure cloud, and that's when it puts together with the license plate. Now the technology that the camera system has, they're putting it together now with the make, color, the vehicle type, and the date and time of that capture. So those are giving us all searchable fields when we go back into the camera system on. We can search by, I'll give you one story. I won't tell you the names of the agencies, but there was a local city that had a fatal hit and run. They called the next city over that has the Flock system. They were able to find the car and make an arrest. Which is big when you're talking about justice to a family, and we have some of those crimes where cameras could have been significant to help us. So this will be a good project moving forward. So it transfers. I just want to mention this FBI NCIC hot list real quick because the camera system does connect to the hot list. So basically, when a law enforcement agency enters a vehicle into the system, we call it, we're entering it into this database. It's basically a clearinghouse of information for all law enforcement agencies, right? So if we come and take a report of your car was stolen, we'll enter that data into the system. The faster it gets inputted, the faster now we can start utilizing this stuff. Other things, wanted persons, if there was a murder committed and a car was used and we get a plate, or we get a suspect and we know what car they drive, we can enter that plate data for a felony stop, right? So the officers know, hey, this may be an armed and dangerous stop if you come across it. Also, missing persons, amber alerts, silver alerts, those type of alerts go into the hot list system, and the Flock system basically brings that hot list in. So as it's taking pictures of plates and dropping it into the cloud and it starts analyzing it, it's starting to now make the connection with the hot list. So the time that they believe that from the time that the camera takes a picture to when it identifies the plate hit to when dispatch gets notified is between about 10 and 15 seconds. So it's a really significant tool. So say we put one, I don't know, pick an intersection in the city, car drives by, it picks up its license plate, and within 10 seconds it'll tell dispatch, hey, that car was stolen, or that car was wanted, or whatnot, and basically will give us a description. Hey, here's a license plate. It's a gray Honda, and it was last seen going this way. right? And then we'll see how we can build a network to where we can actually follow this thing now through the camera system. Any more questions on that? Next slide. Jesse, are you good up to this point?
Yeah, I'm just listening.
Okay. I put this slide up because these are some of the local agencies that are currently utilizing Flock. We have our partners, Azusa PD, Covina PD, San Marino PD. Then I put the LA County Sheriff's Department, the Temple Station, San Dimas Station, the Walnut Station are already using Flock. And I know there's a proposal in the works. I'm not going to mess with that too much, but I know the city of La Puente with the Industry Sheriff Station are looking to come on board with Flock too. So we'll basically be encapsulated with Flock system, which will be really great for the community. Go ahead, next slide. I just put this up here. I'm not going to bore you with too much data, but the Sheriff's Department actually did conduct an accuracy test between LPR, because there are different ALPR companies out there. Based on a legacy technology that people have been using compared to the Flock system, the Flock was said to be 30% more accurate with the hits that it was providing to law enforcement. Next slide. These are just some of some success stories. I know that everybody says, hey, what are they doing? What are they doing? So I wanted to make sure I covered that. And some great stories. So Covina PD went live with the Flock system. After 2 months, they reported 22 arrests and 14 recovered stolen vehicles just based on the Flock alerts that they were receiving. In one of those investigations, the follow-up led to a human trafficking organization, and arrests were made, and then information was passed on to the FBI task force for follow-up. So really good stuff. Next one. This is Azusa PD. Azusa PD, within their first month of going live, reported 16 stolen vehicles recovered. One was tied to a reported murder, handguns, 3 handguns, multiple felons arrested. And what I wanted to note, this was a local newspaper article out of Azusa, and just the bottom paragraph, just so you guys can see it, the footage is securely stored in the cloud, automatically deletes every 30 days on a rolling basis. Cameras are not used for traffic enforcement, immigration enforcement, and contain no facial recognition technology. Yeah, that is what it is, but it's just good to see what another city is reporting. Next slide, please. I pulled this one from Hemet. We share CAD and RMS with Hemet, but these are some amazing numbers. This report from their city came out in November, so they went live June 8th, so about 5 months. Hemet Police Department safely recovered 132 stolen vehicles and made 119 arrests associated with those cases. They valued the recovery of the vehicles at about $1.15 million. So you can see from the resident standpoint, they're saving people a lot of money and heartache. And they just put a little blurb: when a stolen car, wanted vehicle, or missing person vehicle drives by one of these cameras, every Hemet PD officer in the field receives an instant notification and description, usually within seconds. These cameras have been a direct assist in fighting against crime and an invaluable tool for the city of Hemet. So good success story. Go ahead, next. So what are we looking at? We are proposing, and we're hoping that you consider tonight for approval, to start with 30 fixed cameras throughout the city. I believe Covina is somewhere around 20. Azusa, I think, has 20 or 22. We are geographically a much larger city than both of those cities. And what we're trying to do is spread them out to give us the best coverage. So we're making a map with the company. As soon as you guys approve or send us back to the drawing board, we'll get with that company to make a map on how they are put out in the city based on crime, traffic flow, things of those nature, so we can be most efficient. With the 30 cameras included in the contract is the camera hardware, the mounting equipment, the cloud hosting, the connectivity through LTE, the hot list integration and alerts, unlimited user license, training and ongoing support, software updates, camera maintenance, and a warranty. Next slide. What we're proposing is a 2-year lease agreement. We believe that 2 years would give us a good time to assess the effectiveness of the product, although we know it's going to be successful when we put it in. The cost per camera per year is $2,500. It's basically a subscription fee. That's where most technology companies are going, with just the annual subscription fee, so not the big upfront and then little as you go. There's a one-time installation fee for each camera. This proposal comes to you at no cost to the general fund at this time. However, if the program is successful, the city will need to consider general fund dollars to keep the program beginning in year 3.
So if it catches a red flag on a vehicle, how do you get notified?
So the as the camera hits, it'll send our dispatch a notification that, boom, you got a stolen car. So it's going to be integrated in our system where an alert will pop up. So it's a web-based system. So it'll be an application that our dispatchers will have up, and they'll have the hit immediately, and then they'll be able to broadcast it. One thing that I didn't mention, and I meant to, by having these agencies around us all have the flock system, we're able to sign an agreement so that the police departments can share data, right? So that we can, if we're doing an investigation and we have a car that goes north into Covina from our city, we can actually look at the data and capture the car as it traveled through Covina as well. So it's given us a big safety net around the area of bringing the law enforcement together for this purpose.
I know if we had this, I know we did have that death and the Justice for Gabby. If we had this, we would have easily caught the criminal just like that. I'm pretty sure if this does pass, the family would appreciate this. I know because of that incident, we created the Mayors to Fight Gang Violence. And I was on that meeting last week, and I know you mentioned La Puente. When I did inform him that this was going to be part of our agenda, Covina did mention, I believe, is it 30 to 60% crime reduction because of the flock system? I'm not sure the whole...
I don't know what their numbers are, and I don't know if it's too early to tell, but...
They have that.
Great numbers.
Yes, and because of mentioning this, I know the surrounding cities is actually going to plan to implement putting that in their city as well, because we can work together, and anything that happens in the surrounding city that comes through here, or vice versa, if they leave, they can easily catch that. And I think this is great, especially, hit and run. And this one also you can utilize if residents on their ring, they see a vehicle. Obviously, the ring doesn't catch the license plate, but then they're seeing a pattern that, whether they robbed or the catalytic converters or anything like that, and they see a pattern of where they're going to. Does this also apply to that? I mean, if they make a report and say, this vehicle, can they...
Yes, so what we could do is where the flock cameras are positioned, if we have crime in that area, we'll be able to search those cameras to see who came and went during a certain time period and be able to work backwards. So it does give you a starting point, or like as Rosario said, a lead, if you will, an investigative lead. The other thing I just wanted to mention real quick that I failed to as well, business communities, business owners, HOAs, they can purchase cameras on their own. If the HOA wants to get together and buy cameras for their complex, or let's say, I'm not diming out the plaza to make them buy cameras, but if the plaza wanted to buy a certain amount of cameras, because they get a lot of vehicle traffic, they can purchase those, they could pay for them, so it's no cost to the city, but they could allow us to utilize their data as well. So they could, if you're a private person and you have the camera system, you can allow your own local PD to analyze your data, but that data is not given out. It's kind of a private thing between the police department and the private people in that city, but it does make your network grow, and it gives you a better capability. And people, it's a feel-good thing. People are buying in, they're joining in, they feel like hey, we're helping the police and we're providing information, and it's to make everybody safer in the community. So I think it's a good thing.
I like it that it catches criminal quicker, and it warns others to don't mess with West Covina, because you might just get caught. Any other have a question? Go ahead, Councilman Tabatabai.
Yeah, I did have one concern, and I had spoken with Chief Bell about it, is the type of I guess either crimes associated to the license plate or warrants that would set off the alert. So as I was reading through, I know when I spoke with Chief Bell, one of the concerns was, if you have, these bench warrants for not appearing in court, for, it could be unpaid parking tickets or whatever the case. There's quite a few of those driving our streets. And, I equated it to when they started doing instant replay for pass interference, where they were just all the time. And so you were pulling police out of the neighborhood, right, to deal with all of these. So I wanted to make sure, because I know it's a concern with Chief Bell as well, that in the contract it's really defined what sets off those alerts, so we're not really, pulling police like just constantly. So is that something, because it wasn't in here?
That's something we're gonna be able to customize. So what alerts we're gonna get. Like, obviously, we're going to want the stolens, the felony vehicles, the amber alerts, the silver alerts, those missing persons, things like that. But in talking to my colleagues, like at another city, they said we had so many stolen license plate hits that we had to stop putting those out, right? So it's gonna be kind of a recommendation of the company, like, hey, what do you recommend? All the alerts that we get up front, and then we're going to have to scale that down if it becomes overwhelming for us. And then the officers are still going to have discretion, right? They're going to get the alert and say, hey, this guy, this plate came back associated with this kind of warrant, right? So then we have to decide based on what's going on, the call level. It may not be something we can stop and chase, right? And then it is what it is. And if it's a follow-up for a detective, if you're looking for a guy who's got a warrant and you need him for a case, well, then you can follow up and find him because he's probably at his house, but probably registered to his car anyway. But that is something we're going to have to look at and see what is going to be feasible for the number of officers we have. And you're right, it's going to generate a lot of more. Basically, these are calls for service now, right? Where we wouldn't have gotten the, hey, there's a stolen car driving through your city, because we wouldn't get that alert. Now we're going to get that. So we're going to be getting, it's going to increase calls for service at first until we get a handle on what's going on and the message gets out. Like the mayor said, don't come through West Covina because they're catching your license plates, and people are committing crimes in the city or going to jail, and that's a message that we do want to send.
Councilwoman Diaz.
Yes, excellent presentation. Thank you. I guess it's really sad that we couldn't have this when Gabby was murdered tragically on Amar and Azusa, and I just think that, like Mayor says, we would have been able to catch them pretty fast. And I think it's an excellent idea. I think we have to be proactive in trying to make our city safer. And so I'm for it. I love it. But I have a question about your, after the 2-year lease, what happens?
So we have already allocated special funding for new technology that the council already approved. And this meets a criteria for the federal spending of the money. So we've agreed we're paying for the first 2 years because it's a new technology. But as it transitioned into a maintenance type item now that it's reoccurring and you're up in your lease basically, it doesn't meet the criteria for that spending anymore. So we as a city at that point are going to have to decide. We're going to have to figure out how to fund it out of the general fund.
And if we can't afford it, what happens to those cameras?
We'd have to make a decision. If we can no longer afford it, those cameras go back.
Because these can't be paperweights.
That's why I put it in this presentation, because it's 3 years, or it's 2 years really, but it's something that we have to start thinking about now. And maybe, as we're making budgets, it's not a simple process, but it's a piece of money that if it's successful and it's something that you decide to keep in the city, then it's something that we're going to have to plan for ahead of time on a yearly basis. I'm hoping it's going to be a successful program, and you'll be thrilled to put the money towards it.
I'm hoping we can afford it. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Castellano.
Thank you. Yeah, I am concerned that it would come out of the general fund after year 3, but we do retain the ability to return them if we can't afford it.
Sure.
Okay. I see the public safety benefit, certainly. How could we be so certain that we could trust Amazon Web Services? Do we know about that?
Amazon Cloud is basically the industry standard for law enforcement and government storage. It's all gone away from servers in the basement, like we still have, but it's going into the cloud storage, and that's where technology is moving. That's probably the most scrutinized and most secure cloud storage available now. It's, like I said, it's dual encrypted. It's encrypted going in. It's encrypted going out. It requires dual factor authentication to get into, which means you got to prove that who you are twice before you can actually have access into the system. So the security measures are there, and that is the industry standard for cloud security at this time.
And is the NSA part of this system?
I don't know.
Not sure. I'm just worried about the NSA's track record of not being forthcoming with the public.
Just remember that this is license plate data, so it's just public. It's pictures of license plates that's out there in the public, so it's not really any protected information. In 30 days, it's rotating out, so it's not being held up there.
And when other agencies share data or in either direction, they have to sign in as well with a reason.
Yeah, we'd sign an agreement. Yes, if they access any data in the system like we are, so we're required by law. There's certain things like you have to have training. You got to be, the company had to come out and train us. The officers have to have training. The people who are getting into it, there's a certain way you have to get in the system, and then this company has that audit trail to where you have to put a reason for your search. So if I'm searching the database and we're signed up to connect to Covina, I have to put the reason why. First of all, the contract tells the system, hey, Ken has authorization to get into this data, but I still have to tell it why and comply with all the legal requirements as to why I'm searching this data. It has to be for a government purpose. It's a government purpose. It's a resource for investigation. So I could just put I'm investigating a stolen plate, right? So and that's what I'm getting is the plate data, and that's what I'm getting.
Thank you.
So to add to that, there's one more point there, Ken. There is no personally identifiable information in Flock, and that's been a big problem with some of these legacy LPR vendors. Is they connected to the DMV and they got information back on the owner and their address and that type of stuff. Flock has none of that information in it. It only contains the rear picture of a vehicle with a license plate. That's it. The rest of the utilization of what Flock is for is coming from law enforcement's investigative capacities and other tools.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I can answer. Okay, the question regarding about 1 year, 2 years. I think originally your proposal is 1 year, paid by you for futures assets, and we think about 1 year maybe too fast for city turnaround. Right now we are turning around because the pandemic and this issue, so we really needed at least 2 years. Okay, for the health. Okay, the police department helping us to pay for this. Then number 3 years, the 3 years, I think. Okay, after 2 years later, I think we maybe have ability. Okay, and at least we need 2 years. So yeah, so what I'm saying is, okay, I think this program really can help the city to curb the crime. Why? Because 2-3 years ago, Warner already introduced to us, say, hey, the mayor that time say, you guys have to have this camera. That time it's not even this high tech. They told us they already the mayor Eric Chin already told us the crime rate decreased so much, just based on they say we have this camera. Okay, so kind of deter the criminal come to our city. Okay, and plus the Warner has this. Okay, Covina, Azusa. Okay, surrounding city all have it, so it become a network because the criminal driving from here to there, and if we can have a network, I think it will help us a big time. So I think I really, because the caveat about we don't touch about our general fund for 2 years, so in that way we can afford this because they're helping out. So later on, we really have to work hard to bring more revenue to the city. Okay, and I'm pretty confident 2 years later we should have ability. much more vibrant, and hopefully everybody's dream come true, okay, with all the development coming out of our city and what we have, and with our health department bringing more resources to us. So for that, I'm going to make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Roll call? Oh, did you have something? Go ahead, Councilman.
Just on the question of the criteria, how often can the criteria be changed? Is it something that can be done?
When we'll get alerts?
Yes.
So like the search criteria in the systems, it is what it is. You could put in gray car, stuff like that. That's built into the system. But as far as what will give us alerts, I mean, I think when we find that there's an issue or something needs to be added or something needs to be removed just for feasibility, I think we can do that pretty much, customize it whenever we need to. What I'd like to do is start off big and send us everything and scale it down, right? Because you just don't know what you're missing if you're missing it, right? But if you hear it, then we'll know where we're at, and it's something we can play with and scale back and forth. Excuse me.
Go ahead, roll call.
So we,
I'm sorry.
just one more question. So we could tweak the system as we go along in any way?
In that regards, as far as like the search capabilities and the Flock is a company that's kind of similar to ARCAD and RMS when they make upgrades to the system based on feedback and things just get better, technology changes, and then they go, hey, we could search this. This would be a good idea. Flock makes those updates and provides us those updates to us as part of the service. So it's not like, hey, I'm stuck on version 6, and until you pay your bill next time, you can get version 7. These upgrades are coming to the system just to enhance the system and make it better. That happens by Flock. The only real customization that we're going to make is like what Councilmember Tabatabai is talking about. How many alerts are we going to get? What alerts are coming, right? All that information, it's stored in the information database for law enforcement. We're entering the data. Everybody's entering the data. The hits are there. We just got to figure out what's voiced and what's not. That's really the customizable part for us.
And if anything, I don't know, tends to be something we don't like or ends up being something we don't like, how flexible will a company be in working with us? Like, let's say there's a privacy concern that I don't know, we're not thinking of right now, or that emerges later. Will we have an ability to rectify that?
I think they'd be open to listening.
You mind if I take that, Ken?
But yeah, go ahead, Jesse.
So we actually have and work with the Police Foundation and have an ethics board that helps us navigate our technology. So we consider ourselves at the forefront of ethically driven police and community-based solutions. And it is a top priority for the company. It's all over our website. Feel free to look at it when you have time. We will be at the forefront of privacy and police tool technology. So anything in regards to privacy, if there's a concern from the city, we absolutely want to hear about it.
Thank you.
Privacy versus security, I'll take security in a heartbeat because this is out in the public anyways. And so you shouldn't be doing anything bad out in public in the first place. So privacy versus security, I'll take that in a heartbeat. Other questions? Oh.
I love that. Our thought process is you can do both at the same time.
Okay. Roll call.
I have a motion made by Councilman Wu, second by Councilwoman Diaz. Councilmember Tabatabai?
No.
Councilman Wu?
Aye.
Councilwoman Diaz?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Castellanos?
Aye.
Mayor Lopez Viado?
I just want to say thank you, Chief Bell. I've always wanted cameras. I've asked for it in the past, so I'm glad to see that this actually did occur. So thank you, Chief Bell. This is a definite yes.
Item passes 4-1. Thank you, Jesse.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for the flock. Okay, that ends that. Any council members report? AB 1, 2, 3, 4 conference and meeting reports? No? City council request or?
Yeah, I had one request. I wanted to request if the PD could look at the possibility of an exchange zone regarding like online sales like they have in Walnut, Baldwin Park.
Is there a... Okay. You know, I think I remember asking about this, was it last year or 2 years ago? Okay, perfect. Any other council requests?
No. Do we need a second?
Do we
Well, I think you would second it. I'll second it.
Okay. Do we need a roll call? No?
Oh, you did.
Okay, so everybody's approved? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, that goes, any city council comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to say for Shirley Buchanan, Mayor, your words at the beginning were phenomenal. You know, she was one of the first people in the community to believe in me, and she was an activist and very involved, and she will be missed. And I just wanted to make sure that I honored her with some words. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? So then this concludes our meeting. Who would like to adjourn?
We'll move.
Second? No? All right, adjourn. Thank you. Have a good night.